year. The NFL doesn't really need that. They don't really want that given the option because it might be more valuable to say, hey, do you know what we really need? We need to have a Super Bowl rematch in, let's just throw a dart and say, week 12. When like the season's kind of settled down a little bit. We're not quite in the playoff race moments, but week 10 to 12-ish, somewhere in there, let's get our Sunday night football, Chiefs, Eagles, primetime, blow it out. People are gonna be circling that one from the moment the schedules are released tonight. Everyone's going to be tuned in for the kickoff of the season, and your casual fans are going to tune in from Mahomes. It's going to be, oh, there's Mahomes, and 87 did he do SNL? Like, if you want to go super casual, the Chiefs are the draw, which is still a weird thing to say for anyone who's watched the Chiefs for more than the last 5 years or so. But it's fine. The Lions are fine. Chiefs should win that game. They should get to have their rings and banners and then come out absolutely guns blazing against a Lions team that, as far as my memory serves from the 2022 season, I would also take the over as soon as those lines open up. It'll be fun. Yeah. It'll be a good time. It's just not all of it won't have the stakes that feel like would have been attached to the Bengals or Bills or one of those other AFC teams.
We can look at the schedule released tonight and see the order in which they're going to be playing these games. It's not going to change the fact that they have an incredibly difficult schedule this year. Because they're the Super Bowl champions. Yep. They won their division. You're playing a first-place schedule. So you're going to be playing the other first-place teams. Mm-hmm. And this year you play the AFC East, which used to be some also-rans thrown in there. But you've got 4 teams that are all thinking they can make the playoffs. Yep. It's a little bit like the American League East. Right now, I think 4 of the 5 American League East teams would make the playoffs.
Did you see the standings from a couple days ago of the AL East above the AL Central, and all of those teams were in order? Unbelievable.
Yeah. The Royals are 11-27. They are 9.5 games out of first place. The Yankees are 21-17, and they're 8.5 games out of first place. That's amazing. They are.
That's amazing.
4 games over 500.
It's unbelievable.
And they are essentially in the same spot the Royals are. Boy, I wish there was more balance. Where's the unbalanced schedule when you need it?
It's still true, by the way. The Yankees, in last in the AL East, would still be leading the AL Central with one more win, half a game up on the.
Yeah, but it doesn't work like that. So too bad, Yankees.
Yeah.
You know what? Be smarter. Spend more money.
Go in the Central, Royals.
Yeah, spend more money, New York. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Be smarter about the money you spend.
Like those big city Tampa Bay Rays.
A couple of other little nuggets here. The one of the leaks as it relates to the Eagles has the Eagles playing the Vikings in week 2. So I know Donna Kelsey had said that it's going to be Chiefs and the Eagles in week 2. That would be surprising because the Royals play a home game that Sunday, and then Beyonce's
Okay, yeah.
the Monday after that. I mean, if the Chiefs played on that Sunday, it would have to be a night game. And are you going to have Sunday Night Football, NBC, back 2 out of 3 weeks for the Chiefs, Thursday night and then Sunday night in week 2? 2 out of 3 NBC games is going to be the Chiefs? No. Like, I doubt that's the case. Yep. So I would give more credence to Eagles and Vikings in week 2. And I think the Chiefs are going to be on the road in week 2 somewhere. But no matter the order of these games, they're going to be playing the AFC West, the Raiders, trying to improve. The Broncos went and spent money and draft picks on Sean Payton. The Chargers are trying to, bounce back from the playoff loss last year and making the playoffs and having the huge lead and then blowing that one. You've got the Bills that are trying to prove that they can win a Super Bowl. Bengals that are trying to get back to a Super Bowl. Eagles that are trying to get revenge on the Chiefs and also have Super Bowl aspirations. Miami's a team that is trying to win the East and thinks that they're good enough to win the East. They've spent a lot of draft picks and capital and resources in building their team. The Jets on the road have one of the best defenses in the NFL and has put together one of the best offensive personnel in the NFL, and we'll see if Aaron Rodgers can turn that franchise around and into a winner. That's a road game. So Lions and Bears and Packers, I mean, that's
There are no pushovers at this point, and the teams that end up being pushovers, we usually don't find out are actually that until like week 12, or at least once the season gets going. It is a brutal list, but also the NFL is just kind of brutal. Like, I mean, there are a handful of teams you'd love to go ahead and get the AFC South this year, but the Chiefs historically don't actually want that because the Chiefs have not treated the AFC South like the AFC South that it's been. So it is a tremendous schedule. I mean, we don't even have the schedule. It's a tremendous list of teams the Chiefs will have to play. Almost every week is going to feel like everything is on the table. And then I still just expect the Chiefs to be better than all of them and be the one seed in the AFC again.
And then they play the Vikings, right, on the road.
Yep. Yeah, it's Bears and Lions at home, at Green Bay, and at Minnesota.
At Minnesota. They still, they go to New England?
Yep.
This year, too?
At New England, at New York, home for the Dolphins and Bills.
Yeah, so, I mean, and they head to Jacksonville, too.
Yep.
I mean, that's looking through the schedule, like, who are the teams that you say, all right, they're not, we know right now they're not making the playoffs? Bears? So I'm not going to say we know right now the Lions are not making the playoffs.
Oh, no.
They can win that division. Green Bay can win that division. Minnesota's probably winning that division.
The Bears probably not. The Raiders are not. I feel I've got bad vibes on the Raiders, maybe even more strongly than the Broncos.
But it's still the Raiders, though.
No, sure. No, absolutely.
Even if you throw that in there, it's like, well, the Raiders are not going to win the division because the Chiefs will, and are they going to make the playoffs? Probably not. But it's still the Raiders.
But you're going to have
gave
6
them
AFC West
all
teams.
they could handle last year at home. Like, where's the layup?
I don't. Yeah, that's
it's Chicago.
Yes,
that's kind of it.
That's right. And I don't. I do wonder, like, when we have all the schedules tomorrow, like, I want to go through the Bills and Bengals schedules and ask the same question. But I think that most teams are going to have a few layups on the schedule. And right now, again, like, even the Bears, who are bad enough to have the number 1 overall pick and then smart enough to trade it away, move back, and we all think to at least some extent they've got their quarterback. Maybe he's not a fire-breathing dragon, but they've at least like made good investments to this point. They're going to be a pesky team. They might win the AFC South if they were allowed to transfer. That is a fascinating question to ask is where are the Chiefs' layups, and then really where are the NFL's layups? Because I just don't think that list is going to get very long.
Well, I know this for Cincinnati.
The NFC West would be nice.
Yeah. Cincinnati has, because the AFC North plays the AFC South this year. So Cincinnati has Houston, Indianapolis. They've got the Rams. They've got Arizona this year. So there's
NFC West. NFC West
and AFC South.
Half of the NFC West or so, and the AFC South.
And the AFC South. And then Tennessee, I don't know what they're going to look like whenever they play them, and who knows when they're going to play them. May not be a layup, but they've got a few games on their schedule that it's like, all right, they should take care of Arizona even if they're playing in Phoenix. Houston, Indianapolis, those are home games in Cincinnati.
The NFC is so much worse,
those.
Man.
Rams at home, they're winning that one.
And so, like, for the Bills, they have at home the Cowboys, Giants, and Buccaneers from the NFC side. The Bucs aren't going to be very good. The Giants will be fine again. The Cowboys should be pretty good. Washington on the road for the Bills. And the Bills have the entire AFC West, not just the Chiefs from where they finished, so sprinkle them throughout. But it is another good reminder that looking at AFC teams is giving the NFC too much credit.
Yeah, the Bills have a tough schedule. The Bills' schedule, and I think if I'm looking at it and saying, okay, compare it to like the worst teams on their schedule, the Bengals have the easier one of the three right now.
That's right, yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. Chiefs can take care of business. Even though the Bengals have the easier schedule, they still head to Kansas City. Yeah. The Bills have a tough schedule, and they head to Cincinnati, and they head to Kansas City. So that's a rough one. And they head to L.A. And they head to, well, they play Miami twice, but, they head to Philly as well. So the Bills are at the Eagles, at the Chiefs, at the Bengals, at the Chargers. It's a rough one for Buffalo, but, figure it out. It's the NFL. You got to go and win games.
Can we count this up real quick? How many real just turd of a team are we going to see from the AFC?
Oh, yeah.
No one in the East. We expect at least competence from everyone in the East. The Patriots are probably the outlier. I think the Raiders might be bad. The Broncos were terrible last year, but both of them should be competent. We can have the Raiders if you want. I don't know. How do you feel about the Raiders? What's your Raiders heat check?
I don't think they're as good as their record in 21. I don't think they're as bad as 6-11 like they were last
Cool.
year.
Well, then let's
So
say
7-10.
500-ish.
7-10 or 8-9.
Let's do this. Let's say if a team going 8-9 would not really surprise you, they don't make the turd list. No one in the AFC North would meet those criteria, and then in the South, Texans, Colts, and Titans. You could pick your fave.
Titans if they're healthy. If they're healthy, they're fine. Tannehill being injured, hurt them last year when they were having the revolving door at quarterback with Malik Willis and Dobbs, and that's rough. When you need at least somebody to be able to control the reins. Their defense is salty. So I wouldn't put the Titans in the they can't make the playoffs category. They can win that division still.
And I wouldn't want to see the Colts later in the year to figure out if they've got Anthony Richardson doing anything interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And the Texans just took the second and third overall picks in this draft to fix both sides of the football as much as they can. We might have one or two teams on the AFC side. In the NFC, you have Washington, the Rams, the Cardinals, the Bears, the Panthers, Buccaneers, Saints, Falcons. You could argue for the entire NFC South because the Bucs won the NFC South at 8-9 last year.
Yeah.
They didn't have a winning record anywhere in the division.
And that was with the GOAT at quarterback.
Yes. And now it's sort of like the second GOAT in Baker Mayfield.
Right. If you actually said like he's the GOAT, not greatest of all time.
He plays his football like a goat.
Just actually a GOAT.
It's kind of headbutting things. That actually makes a lot of sense. Eating trash.
Just running, eating trash and headbutting stuff.
Hey, we might have found something there.
That's great. All right.
The NFC stinks.
Yes. So as we take a break, here are the 4 games that have been released already.
Yeah.
Week 1, Detroit Lions, Thursday Night Football. Week 9 against the Miami Dolphins in Germany. Week 16 against the Raiders, Christmas Day, nooner at home. And Week 17, Bengals, New Year's Eve. All those are home games except for the Miami games in Germany, which is still considered a quote-unquote home game. No road games have been announced for the Chiefs as of yet. 7 o'clock tonight, the rest of the schedule for everybody ends up coming out. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk with Matt Lane coming up at 11 o'clock, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. We will hang out with Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports, Royals Hall of Famer, coming up at noon, Sports or Leisure today. We'll get into to more of the Chiefs. We'll also talk a little Royals baseball, and then hear from Hunter Dickinson, who was on the Round Ball podcast that he is a part of, and talked a little bit about decisions to go to KU, NIL deal, things like that we'll certainly get into. And Ernest Uday Jr. is in the transfer portal for Kansas as Hunter Dickinson is heading to Kansas. Uday is heading somewhere else. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
The full NFL schedule release isn't until 7 o'clock tonight, which you can hear us breaking down right here on 810. But the games have begun to leak out, and if you're already looking to lock in your Chiefs tickets now, just go check out my team over at Tickets for Less. Tickets are available now for select Chiefs games at ticketsforless.com, and as new games are officially announced, more seats will become available through Tickets for Less. You want to go to games? You want to see them? Ticketsforless.com. You can secure your seats now for multiple games, including the New Year's Eve matchup with the Bengals. That'll be a barn burner and a hell of a way to ring in the new year. All of that at ticketsforless.com. Shop the best selection and save at ticketsforless.com.
Do you struggle with pain, anxiety?
We continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Tex says, criticize Baker Mayfield all you want, but he's 3-0 against Burrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bakerhead Stadium.
Now that's a glittery turd.
Curtis had, I guess Curtis yesterday was, people were like, oh, Joe Burrow's done this against Patrick Mahomes. And Curtis is just going through and finding different records of quarterbacks against other quarterbacks. And I heard that yesterday. He's like, well, Baker Mayfield Burrow's 0-3 versus Baker Mayfield. So
That is hilarious.
got that going. Tex says, Uday will end up in Cincinnati, right? Uday think they're going to land Ernest Jr. Nobody. But that would be a Big 12 team. Does he want to go to a Big 12 team? See?
We didn't think about that.
Yeah. Tex says the Chiefs had a really tough schedule last year until the games played out.
Yep.
Very true. 100%.
That's true.
100%. Another text says Chiefs play the Packers on December 3rd in Green Bay. Have we seen that already? Is that a rumor that's out there?
So, yes. So,
I guess I only wrote down the official ones.
And I think that's fair. But right now it was Matt Schneidman of The Athletic. He tweeted out an entire Packers schedule that he said he had through a source. And that has the Chiefs going to Green Bay for Sunday Night Football, Week 13, December 3rd. He's got a full schedule, and I haven't seen any conflicts anywhere else in his schedule. I was poking through that earlier because I was trying to decide if I was going to write that one down on my sheet or not. So that is not official, but seems like a credible leak.
Yeah, and I guess there's a difference between like standalone games and primetime games. So when the Chiefs have a max, every team has a max of 5 primetime games. Does Germany count as a primetime game? Do the Raiders on Christmas being a noon game at home?
Right.
That's not prime time.
Yep.
Christmas Day at noon is not prime time. 8:30 in the morning playing in Germany, that's not prime time. They're standalone games, but they're not prime time.
Chiefs Bengals won't be
That's
prime
3:25.
time. I'm sorry, won't be standalone either, but it will be America's game of the week or whatever.
But it's not a prime time game.
Time, not standalone. I'm just kind of going through and see. My looking around here is going, every single one of the games we have so far for the Chiefs, 4 for 4, are going to be the featured game in their spot. And the only one that is even not a standalone is Chiefs Bengals right now. Crazy.
Yeah.
Hang on. Here's a clue.
We got a clue.
From the Royals.
Uh-oh.
Our game against the Chicago White Sox, which was originally scheduled for Thursday, September 7th at 1:10 p.m., has been rescheduled for Monday, September 4th at 1:10. Didn't you say there was a September date in there where
That's
you were...
gonna
September
be for opening
7th
day,
would be the opening day, right?
Okay.
So that would be opening day. So they moved the game from the 7th back to the 4th.
Yes.
So they moved it 3 days prior.
So that will eliminate some congestion out there at the complex for that opening night against Detroit.
That'd have been fun. That'd have been perfectly fine.
I do not think it would have been fun.
Okay, they've got a 3-game set against the White Sox Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They've got a Monday off day.
Okay, there you go. So they're just moving that Thursday to Monday.
And they're at home.
Awesome. Okay,
So
great.
they play the Red Sox Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They stay at home. They've got Monday off. Then they play the White Sox Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So now they're going to move that Thursday game to Monday. What time was that game going to be on Monday?
1:10.
1:10 on Monday. It was going to be Thursday at 1:10. So they moved that to Monday. So now they'll have Thursday off.
And that's before traveling to Toronto, which seems better anyway.
Yeah.
And they say if you bought a ticket for that Thursday game, it's good now for the Monday game.
Monday? Cool.
Okay, well, I can't go that Monday. Now what do I do?
I was planning on going to the baseball game and then just walking over there.
Well, I hope I bought my tickets through Tickets for Less.
Got to do it.
Probably be helped out there.
Got to do it.
That would be fine. Weird that the Royals and Chiefs want to split. It's weird that they want to go to separate places so that they
want
don't have to go.
Interesting.
Royals are like, okay, so we adjust our schedule for the. Oh, cool. No, not a big deal.
No, I mean ours was scheduled first.
No, the Chiefs shouldn't have to ever adjust their schedule for us. Have the Chiefs ever had to adjust their schedule for the Royals? But I guess the Royals' schedule is already set, and then the NFL will schedule around then said baseball games or conflicts.
There was some shuffling during the World Series years, wasn't there? Weren't there some conflict?
Yeah, I guess
that
they
sounds
would
familiar.
have to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a game of chicken. And regular season NFL, I think, moves everything except maybe World Series baseball. Maybe a good playoff series might. I mean, I don't know. The NFL is not going to put another team, not going to give a team a extra road game or anything, though. I mean, they are the locomotive that everything else will bounce off of.
The Royals.
The NFL, but
Oh,
I can understand
I
why.
was just assuming
No,
you meant
I
Royals.
could understand that would be a common misconception.
Yeah, I just sort of thought, okay, you're talking about the Royals, obviously. The locomotive, the gravy train with biscuit wheels.
That everything else is dictated by or simply trampled
Absolutely. Yep, there's no debating, no doubting that. Especially the way they're playing right now. I mean, they're 3-1 in their last 4 games.
through. Hot streak, baby.
You better break them up, or they're gonna maybe catch the Twins. So you never know.
Within striking distance of 4th place in the AL East. No, they're not. That's not even true.
Well, they're close. I mean, they got one more game against the White Sox, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're closer than they are to...
Oh, AL East. I thought you meant AL
East.
Central. Sorry.
No, AL
No, they
East.
are within striking distance of the AL Central. So the Royals will now be playing on Labor Day. So that Labor Day weekend, they'll play on the 4th instead of having that Monday off.
Don't they usually? Like, that feels like a day that usually has a lot of baseball on it. Maybe I'm...
They have a lot of baseball, but they don't have every team
All
playing.
right, yeah, fair enough.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They've got 10 games scheduled right now for Labor Day. So they'd have 10 teams off.
Yeah, sure.
So now they'll have eight teams off since the Royals will play that day. So, and they'll be the first one out of the gates because the first game to start on Labor Day starts at 1:20. They're gonna have
Standalone.
10 minutes of a standalone game for the Royals.
10 minutes of just the entire world's eyes on Jordan Lyles.
Royals, White Sox. What do we say? Who's going to be in the top 3 to get the most ping pong balls in the lottery system? You've got a 17% chance of getting the number 1 pick this year. All right. Hey, it's the lottery. First time ever the lottery in 2023's draft. That's cool. And they've got like 3 what would be first overall picks in different drafts this year, like studs at the top. Royals, you've got a chance to finish in the top 3. You should be picking 5th, but you can move up to... Okay, you lost. You actually moved back in the lottery. Sorry about that. You're actually worse. You're further away. So cool. Maybe next year? It just knew for a fact the first lottery was going to screw the Royals. Like they were not going to be able to move up and do that. But whatever. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. Text says lower level tickets for the Cincy game start at 4:25. Well, about 4:25 Eastern. It's 3:25 Central. It's 3:35 actually. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
The dynamic pricing thing for Chiefs Bears, like the logic of all of that bothers me just a little bit. Not enough for me to get real heated, but the idea of like, oh, we can crank up the ticket prices a little bit and get some Bears fans in here. Like when you are currently watching the most successful stretch of your franchise in the history of your franchise by a million miles, it's like, oh, we could take this really fun game that would have a lot of energy in Kansas City and send that one to Germany, and we're going to make sure we keep Chiefs Bears, the team that just had the number 1 overall pick and the worst record in football last year, because we think we can sell more expensive tickets to visiting fans coming in. It just hits me a little sideways.
Yeah, but it's business. I mean,
Yeah,
I
for sure.
understand it. Supply and demand. I read about that in a book when I was in 5th grade. Should be a question.
It'll be a
today
question.
for
Sports or leisure is what dictates.
How do they? They've done a number of texts have come in about the day-night doubleheaders with Royals Chiefs. How have they figured that out in the past of the parking? Because the big part about the Chiefs is tailgating, obviously. So Chiefs playing that night, tailgating will open up at like 8 in the morning? 9 in the morning? I don't remember. I don't actually remember. Know when the gates open up, to be honest with you.
Didn't they open up at like 6:30 sometime last year because there was such a line? I don't remember which game that
Well, sometimes
was.
those noon games they can't open up the day
I felt
before.
like
on the noon games,
did.
but
I thought they did a super early
Texas,
morning primetime game. This
the
year.
awesome tailgaters that are out there would know exactly
Texton.
how many
Texas, baby.
hours before. But then you would be crossing over for parking for the Chiefs and parking for the Royals. So how have they done that in the past and figured those things out when it's been a day-night doubleheader where you go to the Royals game and then you go to the Chiefs game that night, which would be awesome. I mean, that would be a blast to be out there at the Truman Sports Complex on that Thursday to go to the Royals game and then head over to the Chiefs game.
That's one of the many things that I used to know.
That's I don't. It's just a piece of information that I used to know.
The information that I used to know.
Just a piece of information that I used to know. Info.
That song holds up, by the way.
Okay.
Shout out to Gautier.
Cool.
For
that
the
who sings
AFC,
it?
it is for the AFC Championship game is when, which makes sense. There were buses lined up at 6 a.m. And so I think eventually they went ahead and opened the gates early, and the gates were open for like 12 hours before the
Yeah.
AFC Championship.
Yeah. So I mean, would that be to where they wouldn't allow tailgating until like 3 o'clock?
Yeah, that sucks. That can't happen.
Like, well, you've got the Royals parking already. But then, would you use your Chiefs pass then if you're there for the Chiefs anyway? You can just go there and park. And I don't know. It's not something that's going to happen.
It
all right?
seems
So
like a
it's-
great idea for if you have a terrible baseball team and a terrible football team.
You're not wrong.
That would
Yeah.
be, hey, here's your pay for parking once. Go to both games.
When was the last day-night doubleheader Chiefs and Royals and Chiefs? I don't remember
I could not tell you.
when the last one was. They didn't have one during the playoffs or anything. Where the schedule is not.
I
The
can't
NFL
remember.
can't control it at that point.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do at that point. You worked around different teams that share, whether baseball stadiums and football stadiums aren't that many anymore, but a complex like the Chiefs, Giants and Jets have to figure things out because they share. Chargers, Rams have to figure some things out because they share. They can't both play home games the same day. It's not going to be a day-night doubleheader, Giants and Jets, or Rams and Chargers or something like that.
So in
Tex says in 2015, the Chiefs moved clear to London on the day the Royals won the World Series.
hilarious.
Of course, that game was in New York, but still, that's a funny text. I like it. Text says 2010,
I was going to say I forgot the story
So-
here from September 13th, 2010.
and the 2010 Chiefs, not good.
No, and the
2010 Royals, not good.
also not good. That's how the story began. The Chiefs haven't been in the playoffs in 3 years. The Royals haven't been good for, a really long time. So that was on. It was a Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, and
with
they played the
Chargers.
and they played the Text says they played the late Monday Night Football doubleheader.
Okay, that makes sense. Yep. Yeah. So it was A's Royals at 2:05, and then Chiefs Chargers Monday night at 9:15.
Yep, yeah, 2010. People are texting in. So so that was at 9:15 Eastern time.
Central.
So 9:15 Central. Oh yeah. So the Royals started at 1:10.
No, 2:05. It says 2:05 Arrowhead time in this old SB Nation
There you go.
story.
So Royals started at 2. I mean, that's 7 hours apart.
Yeah,
Which
so
is, I mean, it's close because the Chiefs play 7:20, Royals 1:10. It's 6 hours apart.
here's parking information from 13 years ago. Gates for parking open at 3:30 for the Chiefs. If you show up before 3:30, you have to buy a Royals and the Chiefs parking pass. But if you do want to get there early, you have the option of doing so. It'll just be more expensive.
Text says should be the Chiefs play first, and you get a free ticket to the Royals game after.
That's
if you want to just head over.
good.
Royals PR is just handing out tickets on their way.
Yeah.
Sometimes they hand out like, hey, here's 10% off at Good Sense on your way out of a stadium or a concert or something.
I
Remember
do
when they
kinda
tried
like
to
this idea.
break the record and you could watch the Chiefs game at the K on the Jumbotron?
Oh yeah, that's.
Yeah, I like this idea a lot,
Boy,
actually.
we are figuring these things out if we have two bad teams in town at the same time.
So maybe week 2, the Chiefs get like a little noon game, something like that. We try to, and we get the Royals over there. Just open the gates.
But then that would be if it's a noon game for the Chiefs, it would be the same time as the Royals. Then they'd be
We're giving
playing
the
at
Royals a
exact
night
same
game.
time.
We're giving the Royals a
Okay.
night game here.
Chiefs first, Royals. Okay.
Yes, because the Chiefs
think-
are going to set the tone here.
You think ESPN wants the Royals on Sunday Night Baseball? It's not going to matter. It's football season anyway. Nobody's watching Sunday Night
That's a
Baseball
great point.
during the NFL season.
That's a great point.
Do they still have Sunday Night Baseball as of
don't-
Labor Day?
I don't know.
The week after Labor Day, do they have Sunday Night Baseball anymore? That is a question that I personally do not have evidence of.
I have not needed the answer to that question since at least 2015.
That's exactly right. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Continue rolling. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
Today's a good day. Every day is a good day when I get to tell you about my friends at Greenlight Dispensary. They got 4 KC area locations, including their newest one on 135th and State Line. The other ones, Bannister, Independence, and Harrisonville. Greenlight's where I went when medical marijuana became an option in Missouri, but I didn't really know where to begin. I just had one really close to my house that I still visit regularly, and I just had to go in and say, hey, everybody, I'm new here. What exactly should I be even asking you? And that was a part of the process that I imagine pretty much everybody goes through to some extent, and it really comes down to the bud tenders. It's a great word. I love the term bud tenders, and Greenlight has great ones. They're the people on the other side of the counter who have the care and the knowledge to be able to lead you to whatever it is you're trying to accomplish at a Greenlight dispensary. So you can go into the store and ask your questions, browse in person, ask the bud tenders what's right for you, or you can order online and pick it up via the drive-thru or the grab-and-go window, which is super easy, super convenient, and it's easy to browse their menu at greenlightdispensary.com. That's always updating with what they have in stock. They've got a great selection of all sorts of stuff. So go check it out online, greenlightdispensary.com. And if you have more questions, go on into your favorite Greenlight Dispensary location just in the Kansas City area. And again, that's in 135th and State Line, Bannister, Independence, Harrisonville, all those locations and more at greenlightdispensary.com.
Celebrate Mother's Day with brunch or...
Couple of other nuggets that are out there for the schedule release. Matt Lane will be our guest coming up at 11 o'clock, and then Jeff Montgomery at noon. Aaron Rodgers, in his, 15 seasons with the Green Bay Packers, was a home underdog 8 times in his career, 8 times. He's 5-1 or 5-2-1 against the spread.
A crazy number.
and then 6-1-1 straight up. He is going to be a home underdog in his first game as a Jet. They're playing at home against the Buffalo Bills on September 11th. That Sunday, they are 3-point dogs against the Bills. If you're wondering what the Chiefs' lines are already, Chiefs are a touchdown favorite against the Lions on Thursday night. They are 5.5-point favorites against the Dolphins in Germany. They are 8.5-point favorites against the Raiders on Monday Night Football, and they are 3.5-point favorites against the Bengals in Week 17. The other nugget that's out there is it's been reported that the Bengals Week 1 will be heading to Cleveland to open up their season in the Dog Pound. Stefanski's never lost to the Bengals at home in his career as coach
right?
of the Browns.
I guess that fits with the Baker stat from earlier too,
and
huh?
it fits with the lady. Like, why can't we beat the Browns? The joke with the lady,
Yo, yeah,
the
you're
girl
right,
that was
yeah.
like, and you know I'm
Wisdom
attracted
teeth
to
girl.
ambition over looks. Well, why can't we beat the freaking Browns and Patrick Mahomes? I like him. So yeah, the Bengals will open up in Cleveland, it looks like, according to some of the reports that are out there.
All right, so the Chiefs are going to have the inside track on the 1 seed by the time the first week's over. That's exciting.
That's exactly
Aaron
right.
Rodgers upsets the Bills. Browns beat the Bengals. Chiefs beat the Lions at home. Bing bong.
Bing bong. Tex says, if the Chiefs and Royals played at the same time, would there really be a parking problem?
Oh,
That's a good point. That's a great point, man.
that's a sad
you are-
point.
but you're right.
Yeah.
100%
The
right.
players share a parking lot?
I don't think they do, right? Do they?
I don't think so. I think they've got different sections, but I'm
You would
honestly not
think.
sure.
You would think they would have different
I don't
sections.
think they probably
don't
have sections real close to each stadium, but I don't know.
know. Real quick, if we look through,
Hilarious.
is there a game that the Chiefs will not be favored in?
I don't think so. Let me open my little.
Because Philly, Buffalo, New England are at home.
Yeah.
I guess depending on when they play the Jets. Like if the Jets are like 9-0 or something and the Chiefs are 6-3 and they're playing the Jets in New York, that might be the one where the Jets are -2 in that game.
But right now, Vegas is
that's-
telling you that they're not that high on the Jets.
Yeah, they're 3-point dogs at home against the Bills. But that's why it had to be a season of adjustments
Definitely.
to the Jets showing that, no, this team is legit. That the only one?
At Chargers, maybe give them some time to see how they look.
Maybe.
Look, I think the Chargers, I mean, I don't want to get over my skis here, but I think they won the offseason. That's going to translate.
Yeah. They never Charger either.
No, never at all.
Give your small business one tech solution that checks all the boxes. It's all here with the Comcast Business.
Thursday so far. We head up until 2 o'clock. We'll play some sports or leisure at 1 o'clock. Jeff Montgomery at noon. He's kind enough to join us before he goes on the air. So he's going to join us for about 15 minutes at 1 o'clock, or at noon, I should say, before he goes on the air around 12:30. So we'll talk with him for about 15 minutes, get a little primer. And the last time we talked to Jeff Montgomery, this team is 4-4 since then. So, hey, and 3-1 through the last 4. Let's talk some Chiefs football as Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com, joins us and the KC Laboratory Podcast. Matt, what's up, man? How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Just living life through this super exciting schedule release day.
You darn right, man. It is schedule release day, which means that the schedule's already being released. So there's that. It's funny that the NFL puts a mandate on their, or I guess not the NFL, but like ESPN and NFL Network are like, you can't release the picks. And that's more for the network part of it, right? You can't release the picks. Yet the NFL schedule, the NFL allows teams to sort of slowly leak some out, and maybe that's just to drum up attention for the actual schedule release. That, oh, wait, the schedule release is Thursday night. Yeah, it's Thursday night. Hey, here's another little morsel. Here's a little crumb that fell off the table, Matt. Don't remember, the meal is Thursday at 11 or at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it's not often that I think the NFL does a great job living in the year 2023, but they've certainly figured out like the social media aspect of a schedule release and how it kind of allows teams to flex what they can do on social media. Like the Chargers every year, it's almost like must-see social media to see how they work up their schedule release. So it's almost like they're just throwing a bone out to these teams, letting them release it because they know that's what's getting the attention, not necessarily the hour-long show on NFL Network.
Yeah, that's you're not wrong about that. We are hanging out with Matt Lane here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com. All right, let's talk about Donovan Smith to get things rolling here. Your reaction to the signing of Donovan Smith, take us back maybe to the announcement that they were signing him to now. We've seen the different reports coming in. He's left tackle. He's going to be a starter. The contract was up to $9 million. Now we know it's like $3 million. So what's your opinion? What's your view on Donovan Smith with the Chiefs right now?
Yeah, it's kind of gone through, I guess, like the whole array here, right, of like being slightly confused with signing at first, but then understanding the language of the contract, looking at the Chiefs cap space, realizing, okay, he has to be getting backup offensive tackle money for the Chiefs to afford to assign him when it was announced. And then Andy Reid comes out and says, well, he's going to get the first team reps probably at left tackle. And the more information you get, almost the more confusing it gets. At the end of the day, they're going to enter camp, and whether it's Donovan Smith, whether it's somebody else, there will be two guys competing to play left tackle. Mm-hmm. Which two guys, I guess, is kind of up in the air still, but Donovan Smith will be one of them. Just looking at the money, at this point in time of the year, if you follow the money more often than not, you'll be right with football. I still think Jawaan Taylor might be in this left tackle competition come time for camp. I understand them not wanting to just sign over the right tackle spot to Lucas Niang or Wanya Morris here as we sit in May. So maybe that's a little bit of the game going on, but there will be a competition, I think, at both sides right now.
Was the plan that Jawaan Taylor was signed because he's one of the best players out there, so you just simply go and get good players that are available, that you can sign, that you can fit under the salary cap, and bring them in, and if he plays the left side, then we can move him to the left side. We believe he can do that. But also, it allows us this offseason, if we can find an answer at left tackle, he can move back to the right side. Was that the plan, or do you think the plan was Jawaan Taylor's our left tackle, and then it slowly evolved to, well, Donovan Smith is out there, so let's bring him in, and we can move Jawaan Taylor to the right side?
Yeah, I think it's probably the latter. I do think Jawaan Taylor was signed with the idea that he was going to be given the chance to prove that he can move to the left side, and that was kind of the goal. Even going to these comments from Andy about how Donovan Smith will take the first-team reps, he said move Taylor or move Jawaan back to the right side. Mm-hmm. Like even if you listen to Andy, he's already talking about like, well, that we had him moved in our minds. Now we're going to move him back. So I do think he was signed with the idea that he was going to play left. They have been very open, though, that there is that flexibility. If a Broderick Jones, if a Anton Harrison fell to them in the draft, maybe that would have moved him back over to the right side as well. Like, they left themselves open, but I don't think they were. I do think they went into the year with the plan to play Jawaan Taylor on the left side.
So is it because Donovan Smith was available and they feel like, okay, this guy's healthy, we can bring him in, it's a cheap option, or did they start having their doubts of Jawaan Taylor being able to move over to the left side?
It could be either of those.
Yeah.
It could be a question of who they have at the right side right now. You know,
Yeah,
it's
true.
Wanya Morris, who's a rookie, and given how quickly Donovan Smith signed after the draft, I would imagine they hadn't even got eyes like on Wanya Morris in the building yet. So I don't even know if he plays a part in this. Just maybe they didn't love their right tackle options once we got to this point, and they went through the draft. Somebody didn't fall to them, so now was the perfect time to go ahead and sign Donovan Smith. Give yourself all of the options, and if you even look beyond the starters, they don't have a backup left tackle on the roster, right? So even if Jawaan Taylor does end up playing left tackle, they still needed a backup left tackle because they just simply didn't have one at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So signing Donovan Smith, even from that aspect, for $3 million guaranteed, still makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, visiting with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com, the KC Laboratory podcast. And I would guess the backup left tackle, at least in a pinch for a game or two if they had to have it, as opposed to, okay, this guy's out for the year, would have been Joe Thuney. That would be my guess, that their backup left tackle was actually their starting left guard.
Yeah, I mean, they always have that option, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a game, like I think if you went into, we saw it already, right? If you went into a game with their normal offensive line guys active and suffered an injury, it seems very likely Thuney was going to kick out. If your left tackle, whoever it was, got injured for, 6 weeks, I don't know if it would be 6 weeks of Thuney at left tackle or if they would try to see if Prince Tigoanago was ready, if they would have somebody else like cross-trained to move over. So either way, they really did need, I think, that backup left tackle before the season started. Donovan Smith just also gives them a guy that might be able to start, assuming, figuring out however it plays out in camp.
What do you think the plan, or what would the plan be if you were in charge, if moving forward at the tackle spot? Because I feel like when they signed Jawaan Taylor, they said he can move over to the left side. They probably felt for the next 3 years, this is our left tackle. And if they still have a want to and a willingness to move him to the left side, does it make sense to just put it off for one more year and have, Donovan Smith and a placeholder there? So with Donovan Smith in the fold, and I'm with you, I don't think it automatically means that Jawaan Taylor has no chance of playing left tackle. He might beat out Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith might be cooked. That last year, we can talk about injuries, but it might just be like he hit a cliff. But if Donovan Smith is good and good enough, and they want to keep their guys at their original positions, what do you think the plan is moving forward for next year, the year after that? Is it just to continue to try to find that next left tackle of the future? And if he's not there, you go one more year in a placeholder, until maybe you find that free agent left tackle that you signed to big money, or you use capital to trade up and get somebody that's at 14 or 15 that shouldn't be. How do you think they go about the future if Donovan Smith is their starting left tackle this year?
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky. So whether it's, Donovan Smith wins the job, whether there's nobody to play on the right side besides Taylor, like if that's the way it plays out this year, you could very easily postpone a move over to the left side one more season. You get 1 year out of Donovan Smith. He plays, let's say even plays fine or well to good throughout that time. Do you really want to now go and make Jawaan Taylor, who just learned right tackle in this new system? Granted, he's been playing right tackle. There's no concern that you'll learn how to do it. It's just a new system. Do you want to then try to move him next year, or does it not make any sense at that point in time, and do you just try to find another left tackle? Like, I don't know. You would have to almost, see how the year played out.
Yeah.
If Jawaan Taylor played on the right side this year and then took a very clear another step from what he was last year, where I already think it was his best year, if he takes another step from there, I don't know if at that point in time it's worth trying to move him around. You might just try to go and search for that left tackle. The problem is, if Donovan Smith gives you good left tackle play and Jawaan Taylor gives you even better right tackle play, this team's probably picking in the 30s again, and it's really hard to get left tackles out of the draft in the 30s. This upcoming free agency class of offensive tackles isn't particularly good either, so they kind of might find themselves in the same no man's land that they were this year in terms of trying to find a left tackle.
Here's what they do. They trade 32, they trade 64, and the 2025 first-round draft pick to go up and get Joe Alt. And just say, you know what, keep the Alts in the Kansas City family, damn it.
Listen, I like the idea. The problem is that gets in the way of them trading up for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Great point.
I don't know how to make both work.
Now you're okay. So then they trade back into the first round again. They trade their third rounder, their 25 first rounder, and their 20. Well, they traded their 25 second rounder because this is 24. So 26 first rounder, 25 second rounder, and third rounder to move back into the first round to get Marvin Harrison.
Now we're talking.
It's convoluted, but you get Joe Alt at left tackle, Marvin Harrison there to go along with Rashee Rice and Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. You got Juwan Taylor at the right side. I mean, probably 20-0, right? I mean, I would
think
assume.
we did it. I think we effectively ended the NFL for like the next 4 or 5 years while those guys are all affordable. So
yeah, just take the Rams approach. Bleep those picks,
right.
And you're still getting 2 players out of the picks. You're still getting 2 first-round draft picks, and you're paying them rookie deals. This is great. Why don't we run the Chiefs? I don't understand. Who says no to that?
I often find myself asking that.
Visiting with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast, probably because they would not have Super Bowl trophies that they were showing off at the NFL experience. Does it matter to you that Juwan Taylor, this has been something that's been brought up, and I'll be honest, I don't care how the money is allocated. Does it matter to you that $20 million per year is the right tackle, and the left tackle has $3 million to where they're allocating their resources, or are you more of the how much money are you spending on tackle? How much money are you spending on offensive line? Disperse it however you want to. It's going to be the same in the end.
That one, I don't think it matters which side's being paid. At the end of the day, you need 2 offensive tackles that are good. I don't think or even the offensive line as a whole. I don't care how the money's allocated. You're going to have a certain amount of money that each team wants to spend on that positional unit. As long as you're in those parameters, you're good to go. I do think there has been the importance of left or right tackle has been a little exaggerated. Like, a lot of people think that left tackle is way more important, but now you've got pushback that right tackle is just as important because of the types of pass rushers that line up over there and how pass rushers are hunting for weak links. And I agree with that. But at the end of the day, the left tackle for a lot of teams is still the most important because when that guy does lose, it is still the blind side. It's not so much about the talent of player across from him. It's not about how much money guys are getting. It's just when a left tackle loses a rep, regardless of who it's to, it's off the blind side of a quarterback. That's still harder to make up for than losing a rep on the front side. So I do think left tackle is still more important, and I think that's why you still do see a slight discrepancy in pay from the left to right side.
You could also hide it a little bit when you've got one of the best left guards in football and one of the best pass-protecting running backs that you brought back in Jerick McKinnon that you can help out with what could be a net negative on the at the left tackle, that Toney can help out. McKinnon can sort of hang out there and hope that, center, right guard, right tackle, you guys take care of business. Toney and whoever else at the left tackle will figure out those guys that are coming, and McKinnon will be ready to go as well. You can do a little bit more. You don't have a hole at left guard and a running back that is not great in pass pro.
Yeah, that helps. And then having, Patrick Mahomes back there who is very good at feeling the pressure coming and spinning out and stuff. Now, at the end of the day, you want to tell me that even though it's Mahomes, if there's going to be a free defender or a defender that wins his rep coming at him, I would obviously prefer it still to be in front of him. I think that makes it easier, but still, it's fine either way for the Chiefs. I think they do value both tackle positions, well. It's just if you look through Andy Reid's history, he's kind of always paid or had a high draft pick at left tackle. Even when you go back to when Mitchell Schwartz was clearly the Chiefs' best offensive lineman, I believe the Chiefs were paying Eric Fisher more per year throughout that whole time frame as well. So Andy's kind of always valued that left tackle position pretty high. This is where it always leads me back to, I think you just follow the money a little bit to kind of start to plan what the Chiefs will do this year.
Yeah, the Chiefs, if you look at left tackles for what they've done, or just offensive line overall, what they've done, and I thought when we first started talking about this last week when they had signed him, I actually thought that Mitchell Schwartz was making more money than Eric Fisher was. But that actually wasn't the case. In 2020, Mitchell Schwartz made 11 against the cap. Mitchell Schwartz was 11 against the cap. Fisher was 15. 2019, Mitchell Schwartz was 6.4 and Fisher was 7. Boy, that's incredible value. 13 total for those guys. 2018, Eric Fisher 14, Mitchell Schwartz 8. 2017, Eric Fisher 10, Mitchell Schwartz 7. So he was never actually more against the cap than Eric Fisher was. Last one on this for you, and then we'll move on to some of the draft picks. Your film study of Rashee Rice. I want to get your thoughts on what you saw from him. But does Donovan Smith, do you think he has anything left? Is he going to be closer to 2021 than he was to the performance in 2022? Could it be that a lot of it was injury related, that he might be more of a top half blocker, and when you take away the elbow on one of his arms, it affects a guy whose strength in blocking comes from his top half? In your opinion, do you think Donovan Smith has something left to be some percentage or as much of what they got from Orlando Brown?
He's a hard one for me because I think the 2021 season was the outlier season. I don't think last year was. Like, obviously the injuries did impact him. I'm not saying that, but his 2021 season was so far and away his best year, just in terms of pressure rate, sacks allowed, penalties, and everything. So I don't know if you could, even without injuries, even if he's 100% healthy, expect him to hit those marks again, because he hadn't really done that before that year either. So Donovan Smith, to me, has always been a very average to maybe probably slightly below average left tackle. And then last year, the wheels just fell completely off the bus as the Buccaneers offense struggled. He got injured, so on and so forth. So can he get back to that point to where he is a pretty average or maybe even just slightly below average left tackle? Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible if he's healthy, if he's motivated. He's a guy that, some people, even coming out of the draft with Penn State, I believe, were questioning some of his work ethic stuff or just some of his motivation on a play-by-play basis. He kind of got lost on some plays where he just didn't seem to be engaged. So if you fix all those things, then yeah, you can get back to a average-ish left tackle. It's just you're talking about a guy that's 30 years old now, playing left tackle, coming off 2 injuries, one to an elbow, one to a foot, as a bigger guy that had a clear down season. It's hard to bank on that, and I think you see the contract that he signed in free agency kind of points to the NFL is a little concerned about that as well.
Matt Lane is our guest. Let's talk about the draft class. FAU in the first round. He was there at number 31. Certainly, we know the Chiefs were trying to trade up at different spots, whether it's to get a wide receiver. There was some talk about maybe they were trading up to get an offensive lineman. Nate Taylor feels pretty strongly about the fact that they were going to trade up to get Mazie Smith from Michigan, and there was some truth to the Dallas Cowboys saying, yeah, we're not trading this pick because this is the guy we're taking as well. But they get FAU, a defensive end from Kansas State. Let's start there, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Rashee Rice. But Felix and Udike Uzama, what do you think of the pick and the fit with the Chiefs, and what maybe is to be expected from him in year one?
The pick makes a lot of sense. You get a defensive end that is close to what Steve Spagnuolo had previously preferred. Now, I'm looking at the rest of the draft. Maybe his preferences don't matter as much now as they used to, but that's a different discussion. But you get FAU is close enough to what Steve Spagnuolo is like. You look at how he was used at K-State, and it wasn't very friendly to his play type. He's an athletic, explosive, relatively flexible, bendy edge, and Kansas State's aligning him over the tackle, inside shade on the tackle, and asking him to play through multiple blockers, giving him no defensive help to occupy a guard. So he's taking on a lot of double teams, whether as a pass rusher or a run defender. So I think there's a ton of potential there. I think he's got a lot of athletic ability that we didn't get to see truly unlocked in college. And when you see flashes, they're clear as day. I just think it might take a little bit of time because of that. He is kind of changing his position a little bit along the defensive front. I think he's got to continue to work on his hands, develop his pass rush plan, but there's so much potential, and you really do see those flashes even against the best competition like Alabama. And the bowl game there wasn't a great game overall for K-State, but you saw some flashes against him working against Tyler Steen, who was drafted by the Eagles on day 2, where he just ran right around them because he has that kind of athletic ability.
Visiting with Matt Lane. All right, Rashee Rice, he has been the conversation piece around this draft, that they trade up, they get Rashee Rice. Cedric Tillman was there, Mingo was not. Some of the other names that people were talking about were there in the second round, but clearly Brett Veach and the staff, they liked Rice. What do you think of the pick, trading up for him? And then you've got the film review at kcsn.substack.com. What do you think of Rashee Rice, the player?
This is one of those tricky ones because going into the draft, he was a guy that I wasn't the biggest fan of. I have in the past very much enjoyed big, strong wide receivers that win contested catches. And that has routinely backfired on me as some of my favorite prospects go into the NFL and then don't stick, because that's just not a skill set that is easy to translate to the NFL, especially if we're talking about a guy coming from SMU, where he isn't playing against Power 5 competition week in and week out. He is beating up on some smaller school cornerbacks at times with these contested catches. So I do have reservations about that. I think he's going to have to find a way to separate. He doesn't have to be Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson in terms of separating, but he is going to have to clean up his route running or get more physical. He's going to have to find a way to separate within his skill set, because if he doesn't, it's going to be really hard. That said, going through and watching his film, like, it's pretty easy to see how he fits in with this Chiefs offense, right? He's going to hopefully replace some of Juju Smith-Schuster's role, go eat up zone, catch the ball, turn that into some yak opportunities, because these are things that he does really well. He's a really good zone receiver, really good after the catch. Like, there's a clear role for how he wins. I do think he's just going to need some development before he's kind of ready to be this 3-down, all 3 level of the field threat.
Is this one to where, they have the phone calls that they make as they're selecting the player, and then the Chiefs release those. All these different teams release those, and what the GM and the coach and the owner are talking about to this particular player. Rashee Rice was down in Dallas with Patrick Mahomes, along with Quentin Johnston and Zay Flowers, etc. And Brett Veach on the phone to Rashee Rice said, our owner, Clark Hunt, asked me, what's the plan today? What's the mission? Whatever it might have been. And he said to draft an SMU wide receiver. And, he told him that's our plan, was to draft an SMU wide receiver. That might be just gassing up your second-round pick and letting him know, hey, this is great. We love you. But I feel like there's an element of they loved his skill set. They didn't think he was going to be there, 8 picks later, that oftentimes it feels like Brett Veach maybe is more fluid of, look, here's a pocket of players. Here are these different guys there. This guy's available that we didn't expect. Let's go get Trent McDuffie. Not too often does it feel like they sort of fall in love with a player that we've got to go and get this guy. I get the sense that kind of was Rashee Rice. Was that the Chiefs sitting in the second round were like, we have to come away with Rashee Rice in this draft in the second round. And all of a sudden Mingo's off the board, then Reed's off the board. And at that point, Matt, I'm watching, I'm going, any wide receiver could go next. When Reed goes and Mingo's that early, who knows what the next team and the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I kind of feel like the Chiefs were like, no, Rashee Rice and Tillman and maybe, Hyatt and Downs and some of these other receivers in the pockets. No, there's a difference. We want Rashee Rice. We're going to go up and get him, as opposed to a group of players.
Yeah, I think he was definitely a guy that they had next on the wide receiver kind of list. Obviously we don't know how they're going to have the whole thing stacked, but if we came out and it was able to be proven that he was wide receiver 5 for them and they liked him more than Reed and Mingo and anybody else that went after, obviously, it wouldn't surprise me. Just making that move, listening to Brett Veach talk about how we went into day 2, we saw how the draft was unfolding, and we didn't want to settle for guys at the end of this, this bucket. We wanted to go up and be the team that got the top guy that we had in this year and stuff like that. So I do think they liked him. I think it's notable that we saw Quentin Johnston pop up on a social media video working out with Patrick Mahomes. Zay Flowers was announced on every sports television broadcasting network and on social media. Nobody had any clue that Rice was down there prior to that. It didn't leak out in a social media video. It wasn't on his social media. It wasn't on his wide receiver coach's social media. It was nowhere to be found. I can almost guarantee that if Mahomes was down there with the Netflix documentary crew recording that, the Netflix show coming up, you're going to probably see some footage then, now that he's a Chief, that he might have already been there, and they just purposely didn't have any of that stuff kind of come out. And just maybe that's a little bit of a tinfoil hat theory, but I do think they really liked him, and I think they purposely didn't let it be known that they had already had that kind of workout and they had gotten together before. I
just love that part of the plan now with the Chiefs is, to work out some of these receivers. We don't need to bring him in and work. We're just going to send him down to Dallas with Patrick and have him tell us what he thinks of him. And Travis Kelce down there too, because, he talked about Zay Flowers and Rashee Rice and things like that. So just great that that's, part of the plan moving forward. Last one for you. Do you have a favorite pick of the 7 for the Chiefs?
Yeah, I think Wanye Morris there in the third round. That was the first pick that I really think, for just my personal rankings of these receivers there for the KCSN draft guide, the players, Wanye Morris was the first guy that I think they got like plus value from where I had him, like the guy that I was like, oh no, he's definitely ranked ahead at this point. Not that any other picks were bad or anything like that, just he was the guy that I had valued higher than that pick, and he's a guy that I think if he does pan out, which he has all the skills and traits to do so, that's going to matter a lot, whether it's right tackle, left tackle, whatever it may be. This is a guy that has starting offensive tackle potential, and you got him in, towards the end of the third round at a good time in a relatively weak offensive tackle class. So I think that was a good job by them to wait long enough that they didn't have to trade too much, but then still went up and made sure they got that guy.
Matt Lane, you're the man. KCSN.substack.com, KC Laboratory Podcast. Appreciate it, brother. We'll talk in a few weeks as, mini camps and everything starts to roll along. But we'll look forward to catching up with you then. Appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. Enjoy the rest of your schedule release day.
That's right. You too, man. There is Matt Lane, KCSN.substack.com, KC Laboratory Podcast. And again, if you want to go check out his full breakdown and the film review of Rashee Rice, the pros, the cons, how he fits, things like that, what he brings to the table, you can go check that out, KCSN.substack.com. Also, some of the other things that Craig Stout just put out, the Shamari Connor film review there at KC Sports Network. Kent Swanson talked about, B.J. Thompson is, a little bit heavier at the Shrine Bowl than he was in the weight that he played at. How much does that affect what he can be in the NFL if he keeps putting on weight, and breaks down some of that stuff. So good stuff there from the fellas over at KCSN.substack.com and the KC Laboratory Podcast. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We will continue rolling along. Jeff Montgomery coming up at noon. Sports or Leisure, 1 o'clock. It is The Zone, presented by Google Fiber. More next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 8.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Jeff Montgomery coming up at noon. Bally Sports Royals Hall of Famer presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Thank you to Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. We got some sports or leisure coming up later on in the show. Still want to get into conversation around Hunter Dickinson and the podcast he was on and talking about NIL and the different things around that. Some other things with the schedule and the release will come up tonight. We're going to hear from Justin Reed, who was on the Pivot podcast that was recorded back when the draft was in town. But a few clips from that I think are pretty good. But was sent a text of what looks like a pretty legit schedule that is listed here of all of the different games and game times. If this is true, which looks pretty legit, it would be at Jacksonville week number 2. And then filling in some of the other things. I'm not going to go week by week, but just a quick observation of that. There would be one noon home game. That would be Christmas against the Raiders, which makes total sense. Makes absolute total sense with that. So, Peter Schrager also put out when he was talking about what to expect from the schedule release. Here are some random factoids or things to look forward to and what may happen. And he said, expect a lot of Chiefs, Jets, Cowboys, Eagles, and more Bears in primetime than you'd expect. With CBS getting Chiefs, Bengals, expect a sprinkling of other big Chiefs games on other networks. Those were the two things that he said expect tonight. Chiefs and Chiefs, because, they continue to be the needle of the NFL and the ratings boost. 913-912-4810. I want to hear from Justin Reed, who was on the Pivot podcast. And it's, we heard Andy Reid yesterday on the New Heights podcast, but Justin Reed, this thing was recorded back at the NFL draft. And he talks about essentially the difference in organizations. He started his career with Houston and the Texans, and they were pretty good for a couple of years, and then they were not. And he ends up in Kansas City, and he discusses sort of that winning culture of, being in Houston and now in Kansas City, the differences in the two, and why he thinks Kansas City has been so sustainably successful.
From where we started in Houston to, first 2 years there going so well, having such high hopes, felt like we had a squad there. Then to the next 2 years being what it was, going 4-12, and then coming into an organization like the Kansas City Chiefs. The first thing I noticed when I first got here was the difference in just how the teams are run organizationally, because everything bleeds from the top down. And there was so much structure here, the way Coach Reid runs his ship. It kind of bleeds into the culture of the whole team and how guys buy into the program. There's no ego. Faculty, staff are willing to do jobs that aren't necessarily their job description, but anything to help the collective team do better. And that attitude bled into everything, man. And then when we first got into the building, I remember in Houston, sometimes we'd have conversations where it's like we didn't want to bring up Super Bowl, like we didn't want to jinx it or something. But in Kansas City, from day one, it was Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Day one, it was Super Bowl. Training camp, OTAs. The message was, we here to win a Super Bowl. That's it. Mm-hmm. And then that just happened throughout the season. I still remember week 1 in Arizona, in the defensive room, Coach Spagnuolo had a picture that he put up. It's like, we're going to finish this season exactly in the spot that we start in the season. First game's in Arizona, we're going to finish in Arizona. That was a slide. And, fast forward, we ended up doing that, man, and battled adversity throughout the way, but came out on top, and it's a hell of a feeling being at the top, man. I can't tell you.
I feel like there's something to not having a fear of talking about what the ultimate goal is. That, hey, guys, our goal is to win the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl. And he said in Houston, they never really talked about it. It was always like, hush, hush. All right, well, no, we want to win. Don't jinx it. Don't talk about it. Don't jinx it. And he said, heading to Kansas City, that's what the talk was. Look, our goal here is to win the Super Bowl. Steve Spagnuolo putting up on the board. The goal is to finish the season in the same exact stadium that we start the season, which is here in Arizona, in Glendale, start the season in the season at the same place. It's the Super Bowl. We have no problem talking about Super Bowl because that is the goal. There are goals incrementally along the way, but the ultimate goal is winning the Super Bowl, and it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to discuss it, and if you're a team that, I don't know, I feel like there's a lack of confidence, or you think that, some sort of a jinx, or there's outside factors that can impact whether or not you go to the Super Bowl if you talk about it, I would rather have it drilled in the minds of Super Bowl. This is what you're here for, Super Bowl. Not, hey, can we, compete? Can we win the division? Can we just get to the playoffs? No, it's the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs aren't afraid to acknowledge that with the players, and Justin Reid saying that was a pretty interesting, quick difference between Houston and Kansas City of just how open they were about discussing the Super Bowl and going there and winning. And I guess when you've been there a couple of times and you know what it takes, you have that experience, so you're willing to do that. He also talked about the experience he had with Houston and what that did to change him as a player to, in the position he is right now. But here he is talking about the how he became a better player with the experience he had in Houston.
In the moment, that hurts. Going through the ups and downs. Funny, we're in Kansas City, but that playoff game, we were up by 24 points and then ended up losing by 20 points. I say the only way that it made it better for me is I think it made me a better leader, and that I got to tell the story about it to other players. So it's like whenever I had a message, like, for instance, halftime in the Super Bowl, and we're talking about, like, we down 10 at that point. And we talk about, man, like, the game's never over. Like, we were up 24 and the other team came back. Like, no matter what the lead is, no matter if there's time on the clock, on both sides of it, if you're ahead, you got to step on their throat and finish the game out. And if you're behind, you got to fight and believe and come back.
It's funny. Yesterday we played the Andy Reid clip about, having Patrick Mahomes. Well, you're down 10. We've been down 10. Down 21. That's nothing. We've been down 21 before. That can be done. Just sort of this nonchalant, cavalier attitude of trailing in the Super Bowl or the championship games for your conference that you just have the ability to come back. On the flip side of Justin Houston saying, Justin Reid in Houston saying, yeah, I can be in the locker room down 10 against the Eagles and say, guys, I know we can come back because I played on a team that was up 24 and lost by 20. We got outscored by 44 in 2.5 quarters. We were up 24 and we lost by 20. Guys, 10 points is nothing. We can come back here and do this. So you've got both sides of it. That's interesting that Justin Hughes is like, yeah, I'm a better leader because I've experienced these things. And yes, it hurt in the moment in losing that game to the Chiefs. But in doing that, kind of changed his perspective of halftime. There's a whole half to go. We're down 10. Man, that's nothing. That's nothing. We were up 24 and lost by 20. And, there were 2.5 quarters. There was a half quarter more is all they had to work with than what we had to work with right now, and we're only down 10.
There's no such.
What's that? I heard a voice in my head. Is it, yes, Satan? Sorry.
There's no such thing as not having enough time. It's just you're never out of it. You felt the pain if you're on the Justin Reid Houston side, which you said Justin Houston again just then, even after
Did I really?
us up. Yeah, I was going to let it go, but texters are vicious. But it really is incredible.
Why did Justin Reid play for Houston?
It's really annoying.
And why didn't Justin Houston play for Reid? Oh, he did, Andy.
Whoa, think about it, people.
Are they the same? Have you ever seen them in the same place, same time? I haven't.
I don't know that I have.
Nope, but go ahead. You were saying anything about Justin Reid?
No, just this idea that is so pervasive. It is fundamental to not just the Chiefs, but the entire NFL. Positively for the Chiefs, terrifyingly for the rest of the league.
That's a great point.
It's never over. Eventually, the game will hit 0, and at that point, maybe you see the headstone and you finally believe what you've seen. But it's just a really unprecedented thing that does not exist almost anywhere else. Prime Aaron Rodgers had it. Prime Peyton Manning and Tom Brady had it. But with Mahomes, even, it's a different level. If Brady's down 28-3 or something, that game is over every time.
I mean, trailing in games by double digits. The stat that's out there of Patrick Mahomes' winning percentage is 600 and the next best is 330. Winning percentage when trailing by double digits. So Justin Reid talked about, not Justin Houston, Justin Reid talked about one of the first things that he has gained from being in Kansas City is the culture of winning, the Super Bowl, the talk, being able to come back, all of those things. And the follow-up on the Pivot podcast to Justin Reid was, I thought you'd say one of the first things was, playing against a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, and even, going up against every day another future Hall of Famer and a tight end in Travis Kelce. So he talks about what it's like playing against Travis Kelce.
Travis is the real deal on so many different levels. I mean, the way he runs his routes is so you wouldn't think that he's as shifty as he is just looking at him, but the guy is athletic, and more than anything, he's smart, man. Him and Pat are on the same page. He's always open because he'll read a coverage, and the route he's supposed to run isn't open. He'll adjust it, but he'll do it in a way that he don't get in anybody else's way. Like, he won't mess up somebody else's route, but he'll find the open zone. They'll just play basketball, man. It's funny, a lot of the basketball players, Pat got a big basketball background. We have this basketball goal that's in the locker room, and guys play ball. Obviously, nobody touch Pat when he shoot the ball. Pat always gonna have an open shot. You know what I mean? But they kind of just freelancing and playing ball, and seeing them do that, and then seeing them play on the field and practice and in games, it's kind of the same thing. They're really just playing basketball on grass, going out there having fun.
It's funny. I just Reed, the way he runs his routes, going up against him in practice all the time, there's just something different about it. No matter what you think he looks like on film, there's just and adjusting his route on the fly, but also not getting in somebody else's way. And by the way, when the Chiefs lost to the Raiders in 2020 at home, and that surprise game where the Raiders came in and put 40-something points on the board, and the interception that happened in the fourth quarter, and that was the COVID year, so we could only talk to the people that the Chiefs gave us. And it was an interception, and there were multiple people in the same spot. And Travis Kelce, 3 weeks later, finally got on the Zoom and was still blaming himself for that because he ad-libbed in the wrong spot. And he still said that loss was on him because at that point, they were only down by 3 or something. Yep. They could have gone down and scored, but then the interception happens. Josh Jacobs scores a touchdown. They're down double digits in the fourth quarter, game over. And he blamed himself for that because he ad-libbed in the wrong spot. And to hear Justin Reid be like, he adjusted, but doesn't go to where other people are. He's able to adjust, and then he and Patrick sort of on the same page. As soon as he said that, I thought about that when he, 3 weeks later, was still mad about that interception against the Raiders in a game in which they lost. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from Royals manager Matt Quatraro meeting with the media before today's series finale against the White Sox as Brady Singer is on the mound and what is going on with Brady Singer. We'll hear from Matt Quatraro, his thoughts on that next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810.
We'll hear from Matt Quattrero, a couple of other nuggets that are out there. Chiefs, Jets, Week 4, Sunday Night Football. Chiefs in New York, Week 4, Sunday Night Football. So that is Week 1 and Week 4 that have already been announced. Week 1 against the Detroit Lions on Thursday night, and Week 4 against the Jets, Sunday Night Football on the road, along with the Miami Dolphins Week 9, the Raiders Week 16, and the Bengals Week 17. Those last two being Christmas Day for the Raiders and New Year's Eve for the Bengals. Some other schedule games that are out there that are being talked about that, certainly could happen. Second game of the season at Jacksonville. A nooner. Open up with Detroit, then head to Jacksonville, then home for the Bears, then at New York for Sunday Night Football. That would be what the first 4 games look like if some of the reports and leaks are accurate, as we're still 8 hours away from this thing getting underway.
And, again, we know all the teams definitively.
Yes.
We've
Right.
known the teams for months.
Just what order?
But Brian Cause of the New York Post has that Week 4 game being Chiefs. Being finally Mahomes-Rodgers. It's early in the year enough that maybe everyone's healthy at that point.
Yeah.
At MetLife Stadium, Sunday Night Football, Week 4, Chiefs-Jets would be the that's what's out there right now.
And expected that typically when a team takes their international game, they get the week off. The next week.
Yeah,
that, according to a leak, would be Week 10, and they would have that bye week, Week 10, which would be great because you play 9 games, get a day off. Or get a week off, then play 8 games. Hopefully get a week off, and then play 2 games, get a week off, and play 1. Let's hear from Matt Quattrero. Brady Singer going to the mound today. Singer's changeup. Boy, it'd be a nice changeup for him to go out there and pitch well. I would say that. Here is Matt Quattrero, about 30 seconds long, this clip, talking about the changeup from Brady Singer.
Yeah, it's the same pitch, and looking at the percentages, it's pretty in line with what it was last year. It's just a matter of when and how to deploy it against which hitters, I think, is what we've been missing a little bit. So the percentages are the same across the board, but just because you throw 10 of them in a 100-pitch outing doesn't mean that 10% is the right time or to the right hitter. So picking the right spots, showing it to the right guys, making sure it makes the other pitches sharpen up a little bit is what's important.
See, we've talked a lot about changeups on this show, as people are probably aware of if they've listened for a while. To me right now, the changeup doesn't matter a whole lot because he cannot spot and locate his sinker and the slider as well. Like, if he said it at one point, and there's some validity to it when he said, look, people talking about the changeup, if the first 2 aren't working, the changeup doesn't matter. And it came off at the time as a little bit of an excuse because the Royals could not get him to throw the changeup. This was before they sent him down, and he came back up. And it's like, okay, there is something to that. But if you don't even have the threat of a changeup and you can't spot the 2-seamer and the slider, they don't have to worry about a third pitch. They're just sitting on slider, sinker, and that's it. But to his point, right now, to me, the changeup doesn't matter a whole lot because he can't place that sinker, that 2-seamer, and the slider, which is his bread and butter. Last one here, Matt Quattrero was asked, is Singer raiding the zone too much?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 big principles to raid the zone. First pitch, get ahead, stay ahead, expand. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. So if you get ahead, stay ahead, and then throw it down the middle again, that part of the equation isn't helpful. But knowing when to expand and where your pitches work out of the zone as well, the strike to ball pitches, those are the ones that I think he's been missing on a little bit lately.
Tex says, yeah, Brady could use a changeup. He's been on a slider, and his season looks like it's the trajectory of a sinker. Yeah, that's probably right.
What was that? Was that a Jordan Lyles pitch? I learned the new name of Jordan Lyles' pitch a couple days ago. Did you see that one on the Jumbotron?
Nope.
I don't know that I can say it on the radio.
Oh.
It's on the Jumbotron.
Well, tell me at the break.
I'll let you know.
How about this as we go to break? 913-381-810-810. NHRA Nationals, Heartland Motorsports. Let's give away a pair of tickets along with $50 to Johnny's Tavern. You can receive a great discount for the big race by going to heartlandmotorsports.us. Type in the promo code 810, and you'll receive 20% off with the NHRA Nationals drag racing and some free tickets this summer at Heartland Park Motorsports in Topeka. Heartland Motorsports Park, House of Speed. Again, go to heartlandmotorsports.us, type in the promo code 810, and you get 20% off. 913-381-10-810. 913-381-10-810. Caller number, let's switch it up today.
Yeah, let's do something different. You want to do 8?
Or 10.
Ooh, both sound good to me.
Let's just do 8.
Okay, caller
Pair of
number 8.
tickets, $50 to Johnny's Tavern for caller number 8.
For Jordan Lyles, it was a slider-cutter combo.
I see. Money next.
We're here with Brad McGee from LBA Home Services. I see you're wearing a hard hat.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Coming up an hour from now, we'll play a little sports or leisure. Right now, let's talk some Royals baseball. Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports Royals Hall of Famer, presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. FFBKC.com is where you can go and check that out. Monty, how are you, sir?
Well, doing pretty good today, Jason. Not sure how many times I've said we've won 3 out of 4 games, but I'm able to say that today. So let's hopefully look forward to another one later this afternoon.
You know what, Monty? Each time we talk, it's like, okay, what have they done since the last time we talked? Boy, I wish it was a better conversation. They're 4-4 since our last conversation. So that's pretty good. I'll take it. That's 500. What have you been seeing? What's been happening with this team as to why we've seen now since our last conversation they're 500 in the month of May? They're 4-5. Their last 11 they're 5-6. Since the series against the A's started, they've outscored their opponents by 13, 41-28. What's going on with this team?
I think if I were going to summarize it, I would say a balanced offensive attack. They've found a way to get some production up and down that lineup, something that was very, very rare, especially early in the season. So the fact that they have been able to get some production from a lot of guys who had some early struggles, I think it's changed things as far as the confidence, the attitude, everything around it. The bullpen's been outstanding as well. So got to get a little bit of a nudge in that starting pitching. We've seen some signs of it. Last night, Brad Keller showed some signs of moving in the right direction, but still some other guys, including today's Brady Singer, just got to be a little more consistent with regards to the starting pitching. The bullpen's been good. So hopefully those things mesh together. We've talked so many times about, get hitting but no pitching and vice versa, but now they're starting to put a little bit of it together.
Yeah, I want to talk about Brady Singer here in just a little bit with him going to the mound in, I don't know, a little more than an hour from now. Jeff Montgomery is our guest. The offense, though, has been really good. They've turned it around. They're scoring a lot of runs, which has helped with the wins, obviously. Is it as simple as, the hard hit rate and what we had talked about, the exit velocity and the hard hit rate that, didn't match up to the runs scored? Is it as simple as those two things finally matching up, that the runs are matching what the numbers had said they should have been all along?
I think a little bit of it, yes, just kind of the averages starting to even themselves out. But I think guys really kind of just stuck with their plan, and once they started getting some production, I just think it took so much pressure off of everybody. It allowed them to go out and understand that I don't have to hit a 6-run home run to get us back in this game. I can just set the table. I can do what I need to do. Let the guy behind me do what he needs to do. And then it just started to be that kind of keep the line moving attitude, and that's why they're having more production, I think, especially from the bottom part of the lineup. And just consistency going out there. And I think the other factor, and I think it's sometimes overlooked, is let's take a look at the competition we're played against as far as the starting pitching. I mean, when you that season started, you're going to see the Minnesota Twins out of the gate, and you really saw essentially 3 aces, to start the season against the Twins, and then it followed every time. It seemed like every team we played, you're seeing top of the rotation guys, and as of late, you just haven't seen those guys that you're going to say potentially are Cy Young Award candidates. So it's been a little bit easier going with regards to the starting pitching. So those are all going to even out, just like those hard hit balls eventually go start to fall.
Yeah, through 38 games in the season, they have played now 9 games against teams that are below 500, and they're 5-4 in those games, Monty.
Yeah, and it's really exactly what you would expect. I think it's very easy to comment regarding the schedule strength and difficulty of all the teams, but the schedule certainly was stacked in an unfavorable fashion against the Royals to start the season, and finally things are starting to maybe kind of level out. But I think playing the White Sox for the first time here in this 4-game series, I think it gives me a little hope, because this White Sox team is really a team that a lot of people felt like had a great chance of contending and potentially winning the Central. And you always want to kind of measure yourself against those type teams. And so far, I think they measure up pretty good against the White Sox. And we've seen a couple of White Sox pitchers. And Dylan Cease in the first game of the series, here's a guy who was a runner-up in the Cy Young Award last year. The Royals hit him around, got 7 runs off him. And then last night, Lance Lynn, here's a guy that has really had the Royals number a number of times over the last few years. They were able to go out and get 7 runs off him. So just finding ways to get things done against teams in your division, I think goes a long way as far as maybe that barometer you're looking to kind of measure yourself against.
Visiting with Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports Royals Hall of Famer. The helmet in the dugout after they hit a home run. We're seeing teams do these fun celebrations and these things that they'll put on, whether it be a sport coat or different hats or things like that. We see it in the NFL when guys get turnovers, or in college they come over to the sideline if you're on defense, and they'll put a hat on you or a chain around you or something like that. What's the importance, do you think, of things like that going on in the dugout, whether it be the hijinks or just the added fun in something as small as that? What do you think the importance is, and is there a correlation? I know last night on the broadcast they showed it, and it is pretty interesting before and after said helmet was introduced. But is there something to correlated between doing that in the dugout and maybe some of the offensive outburst?
I think you would have a difficult time convincing me there's any correlation between that, but it is something that certainly is. I think it's fun. You're looking to change the game with regards to the appeal, the attractiveness to younger fans. Certainly would have never flown during my generation of playing as far as the celebration is concerned. At first, I guess I was a little resistant to accepting the way the game is changing, but I think it's evolution of the game. I think it's necessary, and certainly it doesn't matter what I think about it. It's happening and it's changing, and it's really been going on now for a number of years, maybe not a decade, but going on, a decade. You've seen those type of changes as far as the celebrations are concerned, and I'll just have to admit it. It's probably good for the game. Not that I like it, but it's probably good for the game.
Well, even if we take away like the helmet stuff or the things in the dugout after the home run, we saw like the Royals were when they were winning, when they won a World Series, they had the heart sign that they would send back to the dugout after they would get a single, double, whatever it was. They'd have the 1738. Gerard Dyson would have the zoom as if he was like on a motorcycle or something. Like they would have these certain things that they did in pointing back to the dugout. Did that happen in your day, or is that also a newer thing that I just can't remember if there was something like that as coordinated as it is right now, as we're seeing with different teams, and the Royals have certainly done it over the year. 1738 was one that was kind of a rallying cry for them as well. Was that happening back in the day? Not the evolution of these helmets and stuff in the dugout, but even maybe just a coordinated, I got a hit, here's what we do back to the dugout, to maybe more of a team thing. I'm not the only one that got the hit out here.
Yeah, I don't think it happened, in the dugout or on the field. I think it maybe after the game you'd have the celebrations and maybe some things would go on, but I don't think that was nearly as apparent during the course of the game. And you mentioned all those the antics with regards to what the Royals did. Hey, don't forget about Billy Butler zoom by you when he stole that base during the postseason. So, but it is fun. I mean, it's something different, something that certainly can be very attractive to the fans.
All right, you're around the team. Is there any explanations to why the pointing to the bullpen is going on now on home runs? That it seems like it's going on across the league. Like when they round first, they point to the bullpen, or rounding second, depending on where the bullpen is in right field or left field. You're a guy who spent most of your career in the bullpen. Any motivation or reason behind now all of a sudden players are pointing to the bullpen as they hit a home run?
I was not aware that it's going on around baseball, but I do remember last year Bobby Witt Jr. hit a home run, and he pointed to the guys out in that right field bullpen in Kansas City here. And it seems to me, I remember maybe a comment of him saying something like, hey, those guys don't get much attention out there. I wanted to give them some love. So I don't know if Bobby Witt started it, but maybe he did, because that's the first time I remember seeing it last year with him.
That's interesting. Visiting with Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports Royals Hall of Famer. Michael Massey was really struggling this year. I think the number that we had talked about was like 38 strikeouts and one walk. It was pretty bad. But he's certainly doing a lot better in that. In the month of May, he's got as many walks as strikeouts, so he's been pretty good from that standpoint. And last night, he and Nick Pratto, they call up Pratto, and he has been phenomenal at the plate. And those guys combined to go 5 for 9 with 5 RBIs, 2 home runs, a double. Just those two guys alone in extending that lineup. What have you seen from Michael Massey? Is he, a change in approach? Is he just calming down and letting his natural ability take over and trying easier, as George Brett would say? And what do you think Nick Pratto has done for this lineup by, he's got to come up and hit. It's not just adding somebody to the lineup, but swinging like that. And what has he done for this lineup too?
Well, Nick Prado has made a big difference because here's a guy that's an outstanding defender, and he's going to the plate and producing at the level that I think everyone was hopeful that he would be. Because when he was drafted, he had those numbers and he had that, that prototypical first baseman who's going to drive the ball, he's going to play some good defense for you. So he's delivering now, and a good example. We've talked about the process a number of times on our conversations on your show about how it just takes time. Certain guys hit stride at different stages, and everyone's got to get different paths to get to where they're a consistent performer. And maybe now we're seeing that with Nick Prado since it's only been a couple of weeks, but we're seeing the guy that consistently goes up there and makes things happen with the bat. His defense has always been stellar, so that's a really good sign. And with regards to Michael Massey, I had a chance to speak with him right at the beginning of his homestand, and I could just sense the frustration he was going through, and everybody in the world was telling him what he needed to do. And my advice and what I offered to him was keep doing what you've always done. Go back to the basics of your swing and go back to the basics of when you've been successful and just stay with the process. And he looked me in the eye and said, "Thank you. That means a lot to me that, you can recognize that it's there." And he goes, "I promise you it's going to start to shine." And sure enough, it has. And I'm just really happy for him for sticking with his process and not listening to all the criticism and just going out and finally allowing himself to perform. But the biggest reason for that to me is and you mentioned George Brett, I'll say he's trying easier.
Yes.
He's allowing things to happen instead of just grinding through there and trying to force everything.
Visiting with Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports Royals Hall of Famer, presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. All right, Brady Singer on the mound today. He's 2-4 on the season with an almost 9 ERA. What's going on with Brady Singer that you're seeing?
Well, when you talk about pitchers having issues, almost always it's going to come down to command. And Brady Singer has the ability to really just dominate hitters with oftentimes only 2 pitches. Now, those pitches cannot be pitches that are always in the middle part of the plate, mid-thigh to belt high. There are times he gets away with them. But the biggest thing with Brady Singer to me is his fastball life and his ability to finish on a slider. And you go through stages where you don't have quite the life or have the finish on your slider. And maybe he's going through a little bit of that. When you do that, you're throwing the pitch that normally is going to start in the middle part of the plate and finish off the plate or out of the strike zone. And when you're a little bit dull, when you're not quite as sharp, sometimes those balls just stay right where they stay in that zone a little too long. So hopefully he's just going through a little bit of a period of deadness, and he's going to resume that life and have that finish, particularly on his slider, because he's gotten hurt on not necessarily walking guys as much, but more getting hurt on pitches that are in the bad part of the strike zone where batters are just looking and they don't miss those very often.
Jeff Montgomery is our guest. This may have absolutely nothing to do with what what he's got going on this year so far, and like we said, the struggles and command. But I brought this up yesterday. It popped into my head, and I have no idea if there's anything connected here. But is it difficult to wash away an arbitration hearing with a club when you go into the offseason and maybe you're hoping that you can get a little bit more money and it's $300,000, that's the difference, and the team says, no, we're not paying that for you, and you say, well, I'm worth it, and they say you're not, and it goes to an arbiter, and each side presents their case, and the organization presenting their case is, the negatives, why you don't deserve that money. Is it easy just to wash that away and go out there and be a professional? He's a younger guy, just a couple of years in the big leagues, and the first time he's gone through hey, this is a business. This is still a business, man. They've got a team to run. You've got your life to worry about, all of that stuff. Is it easy to go into the season and just go, okay, that's not on my mind. I just got to go do what I got to do for the team and not worry about maybe what I think the organization thinks of me?
I never experienced it myself, but my first inclination would be to say it has zero effect on Brady Singer, or I don't know any player, but most players, I think, understand the importance of just going out and performing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any thought of any of that going through anyone's head during the course of a Major League Baseball game when you're just so focused on trying to do your job. I think that's something that maybe after it happens, before the season starts, you might, be a little upset about the situation and the process, but I don't think there would be any impact on performance.
Jeff Montgomery is our guest. Royals get underway a little less than an hour from now. Jeff, I know you got a show to do here. We'll let you go. Appreciate you carving a few minutes out of your day before you get to work. So thank you so much, man. And hopefully it's a series win against the White Sox. They take 3 of 4 and be winning 4 of 5 before they head out on the road. So thank you for the time, Monty. As always, have a good call. We'll talk next week.
That sounds great. Thanks for having me, Jason.
All right, there's Jeff Montgomery. First Federal Bank of Kansas City is who presents Jeff Montgomery each and every week. FFBKC.com is where you can go and check that out. Like we said, Royals get underway a little less than an hour from now. We will play some sports or leisure coming up at the 1 o'clock hour. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. It's The Zone presented by Google Fiber. More right after this on a Thursday.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here, and I've got amazing news from Window Nation. You can modernize and reinvest in your home today with new windows from Window Nation, and it's their best deal. 0% interest for 5 full years. On top of that, you'll get 2 windows free with every 2 you buy. It's a double deal. You'll get all the advantages of more comfort, lower energy bills, higher home value, and jealous neighbors, all with the impeccable construction and expert installation Window Nation is known for. They've placed nearly 2...
Thank you to Monty. We'll play Sports or Leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. We were talking about the celebrations going on in the dugouts, sort of the coordinated hand gestures and things like that we've seen go on with the Royals when they were winning, and the heart, the vroom, and the 1738 and the fun things like that. And now the Royals have the helmet, and other teams do as well. Texas, somewhere Boddicker is smashing his radio. It's probably true. And then this new thing that's starting around baseball where the hitters are pointing at the bullpen as they're running the bases. So the Royals have done it. And we've seen other teams do it. Was it the A's, maybe? Bangaliers, otherwise known as Langoliers, but he hits home runs, so they call him Bangaliers, which is a great nickname.
Great nickname.
I think he rounded second and pointed out to left field to the A's bullpen. So other teams are doing it, and just why. And it's interesting. I didn't realize that, he said last year he asked Bobby Witt why he pointed to the bullpen. He's the one day Bobby Witt hit a home run and rounded and pointed out to right field bullpen. And he said, well, those guys don't get a lot of publicity, so I figured, let them know that they're part of it too. And now I wonder if he started that. I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know either.
But Tex says, look, if they can't point at the other dugout because it's taunting, then might as well point at your own.
I think that's the way to do it. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Is you can celebrate and gesticulate as you see fit. Just to your own guys at that point.
Yep, you can bat flip and everything, but don't acknowledge don't look at the other team. You can get on second base, first base, third base, whatever it is. Then look at the dugout and do the different hand signs and stuff like that. You can put the helmet on when you get in the dugout. Those are the things you can do. But don't look at the other dugout.
Yeah.
Because it is still jarring when Amir Garrett does that.
That's
as in whoa, hold. Are they going to fight?
There's going to be a fight here? So the dugout's going to empty?
He looked at the other team. Oh my goodness. Amir, what are you trying to do?
Think about this both from an effectiveness standpoint and from a flair standpoint. Now you hit a home run instead of the little bat flip right by. Flip your bat all the way to your own dugout. Saying, hey, I'm just helping the bat boy out. Don't be dangerous, don't hit anybody with it, but just hit it, chuck that thing over, maybe off of the little fencing in front of the dugout, and then go ahead and take your lap.
Here's what I want him to do, actually.
Actually, do that to the opposing dugout would be way funnier.
When you hit one, like Jorge Soler the other day, that hit one 470.
Yeah.
And as soon as he hits it, you can just stand there and watch this majestic shot, right?
You should.
When a guy gets walked, and they've got the different protective pads on, they just take one step out of the box, and they start undoing these protective straps that are there. It's like Velcro here, a little snap there, and laying the stuff next to it for the bat boy to come out and get it. Swing like Soler did, where it's gone, and then you just stop, set the bat down, and start taking off all your the foot guard, the elbow guard, the thing that goes around your hand, all of that stuff.
You should have at least until the ball lands to do that. See how much of your pads you can get off before the ball hits the concourse or the seats or whatever. In Soler's case,
Soler could have been naked by the time that thing got to the concourse.
Could have been a full striptease.
He could have rounded the bases, got in his car, and been home by the time that thing landed on the moon. That was unbelievable. Texas with Amir Garrett. Does it change now that he yacked on live TV? I don't know. Can he stare down the other bench or dugout and now that he threw up while he was out there on the mound?
I don't think there's any way to shake Amir Garrett's confidence / willingness to stare into the dugout.
You ain't wrong.
But it's a fabulous question.
You've
got to retire the stare down for a little bit after barfing on TV.
Yep. And do you point at your left arm again as you're going off the mound? You point at maybe your stomach,
yes.
hold it oh,
it's not about
feel it too well.
It's not about ice in my veins. It's bile in my stomach.
That's right. I'm spewing fastballs everywhere.
That actually, you know what? I think we could start saying spew as a positive. Say, Amir Garrett was out there spewing today.
Just spew. He was dealing. He was spewing is what he was doing.
I like that.
All right, so 913-912-4810. We'll play some Sports or Leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. The Kansas Jayhawks have a player coming into the program and a player leaving the program in the last couple of days. Hunter Dickinson commits to Kansas, releases the video. Ernest Uday Jr. is in the transfer portal, former McDonald's All-American. We'll see where he ends up. But Hunter Dickinson was on a podcast, about 40 minutes long. I guess he's part of this podcast. There was a funny clip played by Todd yesterday in the program, then this morning again on the Border Patrol of the guys trying to figure out where Kansas is. And then Hunter Dickinson's like, no, it's right here. There's like, Kansas City is near, like, Kansas City's like this line. He's like, but I guess Kansas City's in Missouri, but it's this line. Well, I guess there is some in Kansas. And then you got Bohannon, who played at Iowa, was like, there's nothing to do in Kansas. Like, who wants to go to Kansas? Like, nobody's ever said I'm looking forward to going to Kansas. Like, dude, you played in Iowa.
When you have all of the
Of course,
greatest...
it doesn't mean he was saying Iowa's better. He could be like,
yeah, that's a good
look,
point.
ain't nothing to do in Iowa either. I mean, there's a line that in a famous movie that says, is this heaven? Nope, it's Iowa. Now, reading that, you can pronounce it any way you want to.
Never made sense to me.
Is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. Is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. I mean, just depending on your interpretation of the line.
They actually cut it out of the original script, but it was is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. Bleep!
Son of a...
They just didn't want to give it an R rating.
I guess I didn't make it to heaven. Made it to Iowa.
That's it. That's the right question. You're in Iowa, and you look around and go, so,
You know what the correct answer was?
What was my sin?
When Ray Liotta / Shoeless / Joe Jackson turned around and said, hey, is this heaven? The correct answer by Kevin Costner would have been, if you have to ask, it's no. You've been dead for a while, buddy. If you're wondering if this is heaven,
that's a good.
Odds are no.
Point.
I doubt you've been at the pearly gates waiting in line that long.
At best, it's purgatory.
Yeah. I mean, and you would know. You would know. So
that's awesome.
I'm going to guess from your standpoint, the answer is no, buddy. Sorry. And tell Ty Cobb over there, the answer is definitely no. This is definitely not heaven. It's as good as it will ever get for you.
Is there a place called Hell, Iowa?
I don't know. Is there?
There was just a...
There's like 50 different Parises. If you've seen Ted Lasso, he goes through a lot of them.
I have not watched the new season of Ted Lasso yet, but I saw on Twitter that there's a Price Chopper reference in the new season. Is that right?
That must be in the late... I haven't seen
Okay, that might be brand new.
Hey, maybe it is.
Maybe that's a Midwest spoiler that I should apologize for. But if that... I did not watch the clip. It tickles me to no end to just get... really, really Midwestern Easter eggs in one of the biggest shows in the world right now.
I love the Midwestern. Maybe a Piggly Wiggly. Drop one of those every once in a while, you know? But yeah, there's like 7,000 Parises across the United States. Not just, Paris, the default Paris.
There's a new Fall Out Boy song on this last album called Heaven, Iowa that is now just...
See?
Is that a...
It's a Field of Dreams
reference. Is that a
reference,
Field of Dreams
probably.
reference?
You want to have Catch?
How did I, of all people, for me to be the last person to realize that Fall Out Boy had a song whose title is a Field of Dreams reference is really embarrassing.
Do you like both of those?
I really like both of those.
You've seen Field of Dreams?
Many times.
Really?
My grandparents had it on a VHS, and so it was just into the TV there. I've seen it many times since then. Okay. I'm not sure that it's a great movie, but it's a movie I've seen many times.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
I enjoyed it.
It's a great movie for people of a certain age, the nostalgia.
Yes.
Sort of like a lot of people think that Hoosiers is a great movie. I happen to disagree. But those that are, a little bit older than me, if you say that, then they're going to punch you in the face because that's the nostalgia of, the Hoosiers, and you measure the basket and the free throw line and all that stuff, and it doesn't matter here in Hinkle Fieldhouse, it's still the same. And I mean, it's like Hinkle Fieldhouse was the big one. Now it's the small little quaint gym that Butler and other teams and a bucket list for people to go to. But yes, speaking of Hunter Dickinson.
Oh yeah, speaking of Hunter Dickinson.
Who did not play at Butler.
Oh yeah. Or Iowa.
Nor is he from Indiana. I think he's from Maryland.
Has he figured out the Kansas State or Kansas City thing yet? Did someone correct him after the podcast?
He did say, that Kansas City, the other thing is in
right.
Missouri. He did say it's in Missouri.
Okay, we should give him credit for that. He knew
but
there was on the line somewhere. That's
he didn't use directions. He didn't say like south and east. He's like, oh, just to the right of Kansas is Missouri, and it's right below Nebraska. Oh, and to its left is Colorado, and then down below. It's like, okay, cool, yeah, up, right, left, down. That's fine. He's a phenomenal basketball player, so I don't think Kansas fans really care, his geographical senses when it comes to the Midwest when he's from the East and he played in the North in Michigan, and his friends are all from the East. So whatever.
Chestnut checkers. Kansas fans, probably Royals fans as well, they don't care about him using cardinal directions. North, south, east, west, out of here.
Get out of here. Nope.
Up, down, left, right.
That's right. BA, select, start, or whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't remember that
the
either.
Contra code. But here's Hunter Dickinson. He was on this podcast, his podcast, and it's almost an hour long. And they're talking about his commitment, the process, and along the way, he talked about the NIL and the money that goes along with going to Kansas.
The people hating on me would leave their job right now for a $10,000 increase.
Yeah, 10,000.
100%. That's just 10,000.
And you're getting way more than that.
I got at Michigan. I got less than 600,000, or less than six figures. My bad. Less than six figures for the year. I still do love like Michigan. Like I still love the school and everything. Love the program. It was super. That's why it was so hard to leave, because it's like I really didn't want to leave. I didn't, but I just felt like, man, it was the best decision for me, and it took a lot of courage. I feel like people don't realize how much courage it took for a guy who was there for 3 years, was All-American for the team. Like I did have a legacy there, and I basically gave that up, like Jordan said, to try to be selfish and do what's best for me and my career, not what's best for anybody else's career.
He talked about Kansas checks all the boxes for him. You know, there was a lot of information that was scattered throughout, that it wasn't like one long soundbite of here's everything that's there. I would have liked him to elaborate when he was talking about the different schools, and he said Kentucky, it would have been a risk, but you know, Cal's got a history of putting big men in the NBA. Like, what was the risk? I don't know what was the risk for Kentucky, because they can pay with NIL. Kansas can certainly pay with NIL. It's Kentucky. And a lot of people thought he was going to Kentucky. After he committed to Kansas, he then went and spent the Derby with UK players there in Louisville. So that was a little surprising. Maryland was thought at one point to be the leader, because I believe he's from Maryland.
His parents are from Buffalo. He took a picture with Josh Allen at the Derby. I saw this. Oh, he's an avid Buffalo Bills fan, is the last phrase in his Wikipedia page.
Welcome to Kansas City, punk.
I don't know about this.
Yeah. So Maryland was a part of it, and Villanova were like the four. And he talked about, like, you know, people were telling me to hurry up. He's like, I'm taking 4 visits. Like, I'm going to different schools and taking visits, trying to figure it out. He's like, the only reason people were getting annoyed with me is because some of the reporters were way off on the timeline of when I was going to commit. He's like, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, that's not happening. And he's like, and then I don't commit that day and they all get mad. He's like, what's he waiting on? Why is he taking the, he just wants more attention. He's like, because I'm going to visit this school. And I'm going. So there is some element of that, of on the outside looking in, of like maybe how frustrating it might be for certain players that are like, yeah, I'm going to commit whenever I commit. You're just doing it for the attention. No, I'm doing it because I want to know where I'm going to spend the last year of my college career. NIL is implied in that, to where it's at least implied as to why he didn't stay at Michigan. When he says, dude, I got less than $100,000 for the whole year at Michigan, which I can't imagine how he's able to play basketball in less than $100,000 for the whole year. So, yeah. I got less than $100,000 to play for Michigan as well. So we all are in the same boat with Hunter Dickinson on that.
I do think it's interesting for him to just say the thing that is a hugely important factor for anyone playing this game right now. And he's right. Most people would leave their job for a $10,000 increase at another similar job. Like, that is widely, very much the truth. And I'm guessing that based off of his layout of everything there, he might have gotten double for what he'll make this year at Kansas.
Well, there are 3 of them that host this show. So Bohannon, Hunter Dickinson, and I don't know who the other guy is. The other guy lives in Long Island. I don't remember his name. But when Hunter Dickinson said, like, you know, people would leave their job for $10,000, and he was like, yeah, and this is much more.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, this is because he probably knows the number. They're good friends. They all have hosted this podcast for a long time. And they joked about, dude, what if you went on somebody else's podcast and announced that you were going? Then Jordan Bohannon, the other guy, was like, why couldn't I have been the one that called you? Why didn't you announce it on this podcast? What are you doing, dude? What is your issue, man? Do you understand what it would do for this? And he's like, yeah, the video's got like 5 million views. And he's like, yeah, this podcast we host together
would have been a good spot.
Maybe announce on this podcast, That's you right. dummy. Right. But the other guy was like, yeah, and this is much more. So, like, yeah, it's going to be more than 6 figures. We know that. Where at in the 6 figures? I would say if you've got 4 teams that are bidding for his services, vying for his services, whichever way you want to describe it. Mm-hmm. Kentucky's got NIL. Maryland can come up with some NIL. Villanova's got some backers. We know KU has some, NIL, whatever that might be. Maybe it's just 100. Maybe it's 2 or 3, whatever it is. It's going to play a factor in that, especially if you're saying there's an element of all things being equal to where you either return home to Maryland, where, I'm from or whatever, or I go to Villanova, that's got a great tradition and fan base and is in a cool city like Philadelphia, and get NIL money there. Or I end up with one of 2 blue bloods in Kentucky or Kansas. Kentucky that's, gets a team every year that could compete to win a national title, and Kansas just cut down the nets. Mm-hmm. So there's really no downside for me. Like one of the things he said is like the worst case scenario for me is still a good thing, wherever he ends up. And so it would make sense that at that point, yeah, if all things being equal, is somebody going to offer me 150 and somebody else offer me 250? Okay, well, where you at? Like, I think Caleb Love, I think there was a part of NIL with Caleb Love, why he ended up in Michigan. And how much was Missouri willing to offer? And is Missouri, do they have that held for Kobe Brown? Which now there's at least some people that think Kobe Brown's going to take his name out of the NBA draft and enter the portal and go to Kentucky. Because that was put out there by somebody that people are like, no, he's got some legitimate sources or whatever. One, I don't think Kobe Brown's taking his name out of the portal or out of the NBA draft. 2, if he does, I think he's staying at Missouri. Because I'm getting all these texts yesterday. I was like, why am I getting texts from people that are UK fans saying, hey, what do you think of Kobe Brown?
Where did this start?
I need you to stop thinking of him.
Yeah, I think lose my number, dude.
Until Mizzou plays Kentucky, then you can think of Kobe Brown. He drops 35 on you. Because there's like one person that puts it out there like, hey, don't be surprised if Kobe Brown takes his name out of the portal or out of the NBA draft, puts his name in the portal and ends up at Kentucky. And that just blew up like wildfire, right? Because Hunter Dickinson was lost to Kansas. They're trying to get Oscar Tshiebwe back again this year. And then you add in, if you can add in Kobe Brown, now you're talking about, wow, you got a couple of, top 10 players in your recruiting class. Cal's back, right? Whatever. But Hunter Dickinson going to Kansas is worth whatever they're paying him.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, I wouldn't mind if Missouri doubled it.
Right.
If you're like, oh, Missouri, you're going to double that money to bring Hunter. This is college athletics. Yeah, and they've been making a lot of money for a long time.
That's right.
And Hunter Dickinson 100% brings value to Kansas. How much value does he bring? Is it worth the money that he's paying him? I don't know. We joked about Nigel Pack getting $800,000 for 2 years. They went to the Final Four.
And what's it worth to pay Konzo Martin to not coach? Like we have these conversations in college sports all the time, right? So I don't think anybody ought to be sweating booster money or NIL money at this point. And I do think there is room to have both thoughts in your head of these players who are creating value for these teams should be paid for their work and also not be fully excited about, like, I was bummed today. I'm not even a KU fan. I was bummed to see Uday transferring because I thought, man, the process that he could have had with a couple more years at Kansas, he could have been the next Kansas big man. Like, we saw some sparks from him that I was kind of excited to see what his evolution would look like with that team. And now that's just over. I think you can have a little bit of a discomfort or a frustration with this is not my favorite phrase to use. I hate to use it, but the whole wild, wild west kind of feeling of college sports. You can have your concerns with that and also still go, yeah, Hunter Dickinson's 100% right. Most people would take the pay raise where they could get it, especially at a spot that's an even better situation for him that's going to set him up for whatever the next phase of his career ends up looking like. And I think that as this goes on, as the transfer rules kind of lock in, having COVID happen as all of these rules were changing was just another complicating factor. There will be some amount of settling in here. And when you have a guy who has one transfer and one more year to play college ball and is going to do that at a high level, as he's already been doing it at a high level, where he is able to just sort of hit the open market and let a little bit of capitalism seep into sports, which is weirdly one space where American culture does not typically like to see capitalism because we like salary caps and parity and all of that. Good for him, man, and good for Kansas for getting it done and landing the guy. Your consequence is that Uday is no longer in your program. That's going to be the give and take of college basketball in particular for years to come as this kind of gets figured out. But I just thought it was fascinating to hear Dickinson put it very plainly and very correctly that way.
I think fans may say whether they like it or not. Like, they may say, well, I don't like it. It's not what it used to be. It's not traditional. You know what Kansas fans liked? Remy Martin. And he was there 5 minutes. And you know what part of those 5 minutes were? The phenomenal game in the national championship in the second half against North Carolina, hitting some big freaking shots for KU. At that point, I don't care if they paid. Hunter Dickinson, KU's down by 2 in the national championship game. There's a minute left. Hunter Dickinson finishes, gets the foul, free throw, knocks it down. Block shot, rebound, outlet to DeWanda Harris. He gets fouled, knocks down both free throws. KU goes from down 1 to up 3 or 4. They win the national championship. Well, I don't know. I don't really like them having to pay. And I'm not saying KU fans. I'm just just as an example.
Yes.
Well, I mean, this whole free agency thing sucks. Oh, yeah? Would you double whatever KU gave them? Yes. Yes. Double it. Triple it. Nigel Pack got $400,000 last year. They went to a Final Four. I don't know what Isaiah Wong got. I know that he was not happy about Nigel Pack getting $400,000. He was going to transfer. Then he didn't. Why? Because he had a change of heart, or he had a change of money into his account? Probably the latter. What's it worth to Miami to go to a Final Four? What's it worth to Missouri to go to a Final Four? Now, it may not be worth as much to Kansas getting Hunter Dickinson and going to a Final Four than it would be for Missouri to go to a Final Four. That would be historical for them to make one, for them to figure out how anybody could ever win 4 games in one tournament run. Impossibility to be able to do that. 3, you could do that a few times, but 4, no, it can't happen. Nobody's ever done that before. Certainly not a lot of times by other programs. It's worth a lot. Zion was worth money to Duke. They didn't have to pay, they didn't pay him legally. They didn't pay him in the NIL. They just simply paid him however you want to pay him. But I talked about this at the time. Like, Duke's Twitter account. Like, it's Duke. What's Zion going to do for Duke? Duke's Twitter account went from like 1 million followers to 4 during the season with Zion.
Wow.
You think that doesn't have a factor?
Has an enormous impact.
Duke was on almost every night. Celebrities were showing up to Duke games. The game where Zion blew out his shoe, Barack Obama was in the front row.
Forgot that.
At that game.
Yeah.
Like, you've got LeBron and Jordan and all these people showing up to watch this guy at Duke.
Yeah.
He's not there. I'm not seeing videos of people showing up at Duke games. They were for Zion. Zion helped increase the value of a Duke basketball program that has won a lot of national championships. He would be worth double whatever they paid him. Now, Duke was good for Zion, too. Yep. Because if Zion went straight to the NBA, he wouldn't have been the number 1 overall pick. He would have been this awesome dunker that's got this great following on the internet with just this crazy lift that he has, and he's always jumping off a trampoline when he's dunking. Duke was good for him because it showed his skills against higher competition, and he went number 1 in the draft. He made a lot of money by going to Duke outside of what Duke paid him under the table, allegedly. Likely. Allegedly. It was good for both. And the same thing can be said for Hunter Dickinson. That, look, if Hunter Dickinson went to the NBA right now, he's probably the same prospect he is if he goes to the NBA next year at Kansas. But what he does for Kansas is he gives them probably the number 1 preseason team in America coming off a national championship where you're losing a couple of players and you're able to replenish. And Bill Self just keeps that rolling and keeps it rolling to where the expectations at Kansas continue to be met. There is a value in that Kansas continues to have success every year, that the question is never, do you make the NCAA tournament?
Right.
You know, if you look at this team and say, well, McCullough's gone and these other people, and Uday transfers and Hunter Dickinson's not there, It's like, okay, are they top 10? They top 15? Do they lose in the second round? You know,
you're now in this space of going instead of championship, weird year, weird tournament, no Bill Self, another let's make it a Elite Eight Final Four run, whatever they could do with Hunter Dickinson. To going, now we've got a couple like early exits in a row. That doesn't feel very good. I mean, your Mizzou point of like, hey, is it worth paying double for something historic? Sure, but also if you're Kansas, it's worth whatever you can get to keep your standard high. That's all that's happening here. Plus, also like I know I'm going cross sport now, but you know what else fans around here liked? Having Juju Smith-Schuster for a year. That was a 1-year deal. That dude was in Pittsburgh for his entire career, in Kansas City for 1 season, and will never buy a drink here by his own again.
Yeah, I know I said reigning, but year removed from reigning NCAA champions.
I believed that you knew that KU didn't win the championship this year. I figured you would have had that stint.
Really?
Yeah.
I always think the KU wins the national title. No, I remember being at the Final Four and talking to Mattress Mac and saying, don't put money on FAU. And then he puts money on Angel of Empire. And I'm like, you son of a gun. Putting $1 million on Angel of Empire. That horse had no chance of winning at that point. But, lose to Arkansas in the second round, whatever it is, lose by a point. Certainly you could have used Hunter Dickinson last year for whatever it might cost.
Sure could have.
The other thing it's done for college basketball is for so long, college basketball has been a 1-month sport. It's just March and the national title. It's the tournament and that's it. People talked about what's going to be like free agency, and I don't really like it.
That's right.
But you know what we're doing?
We're
still
agency.
We're still talking about who's going to go to Kentucky. What's Kobe Brown going to do? What's Missouri's roster going to look like? Because they've come close in some of these transfers, but they ain't landing them.
It's even better than recruiting stuff too. Recruiting is hard. Hey, who's the freshman class?
You might
have a really high end recruit that we'll learn about as the games come around. But I was not watching his high school film. Hunter Dickinson's like a household name in college basketball. Him becoming a free agent is a legitimate continuing engine for these conversations that we're having.
Because you know what he can offer. If Hunter Dickinson was the number 10 player in America as a freshman, coming in, you go, oh, they got the number 10 guy as a McDonald's All-American, really good player, number 10 player overall, and he's going to be really good. I don't know. I can't tell you that, this is a guy at Michigan that averaged 19 points and 12 rebounds and shot 42% from three and, 60% from the floor. And is a back-to-the-basket guy that Bill Self loves that can do all these different things. I know that. I can see what Remy Martin can be for KU. I can see what McCullough can be for KU. I can see what, Hunter Dickinson can be for KU. I could see what Caleb Love could be for Mizzou. We could see those things.
Yep.
To me, it adds interest. And I have no problem if they're getting paid. It's a matter of how do you keep up with the Joneses. And Hunter Dickinson alluding to NIL being a part of the conversation. Yeah, we knew that. We knew it was going to be part of the conversation. The interesting part is that he didn't feel like he was going to get that at Michigan. Yeah. Michigan, I was making less than a six figure. Can you believe that? At Michigan, I was making less than 6 figures. They got the Jumpman logo. I was making less than 6 figures at Michigan. Got 19 and 12, dude. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
As the weather turns towards spring, now is the time to get your backyard set up for grilling season. Whether it's giving your current setup some new accessories or it's just time to upgrade your grill. Come see the guys I see, the Kansas City Barbecue Store in Olathe. They're stocked with all the time.
now college basketball free agency is second to NFL free agency. I mean, like it or not, it's what's going on. I know I'm paying attention to roster construction with college basketball more now than I was ever in the month of May. Also, was this planned in San Diego? Fernando Tatis is coming up to the plate. You know, the bottom scroll, they can have different advertisers and things like that for whatever it might be. Like, you know, Jungle Law, right? You know, Mike's got this. Good Sense. Bickmer Electric. Go check him out. Pyramid Roofing. Google Fiber, your number one internet provider. Maybe you're watching this on the internet. I hope it's not all fuzzy. If it is, go get Google Fiber, and it won't be. Fernando Tatis steps to the plate, and there is an advertisement that on the bottom of the screen says, injured in a motorcycle accident, ? And then who you can call if that's the case. Fernando Tatis missed 3 months in 2022 because of a motorcycle accident.
I think the accident, I was trying to get the timeline of it all figured out here during the break. December 2021 is when the reports were coming out that there was a minor accident with scrapes, but then eventually there was something with a wrist fracture.
The Padres announced in March of 2022 that he was going to miss 3 months because of surgery to repair the fractured wrist that he suffered in the motorcycle accident.
That's got to be the same accident, right? It would be crazy for this one with scrapes to be one of two. So breaks the wrist there, misses some time, some suspensions and all of that. It's been a tough stretch.
Did that company pay extra to have that flash up during Fernando Tatis's at bat?
This is exactly what I was wondering. Because you probably could say, like, hey, we want this to pop up at this point in the inning or what inning it is. You know, certainly you have, the 7th inning stretch is brought to you by Google Fiber or whatever it may be. In this case, it's the top of the 3rd inning, 2 outs, runner on first. There's no top of the inning trigger or anything, right?
Day game in May.
You got to just say, hey, because it would also make sense to say we'll pay extra for our ad to pop up during Fernando Tatis's at bat. Also, man, God bless the Royals for not having a jersey ad on their sleeve yet, because every time I see them, it just makes me want to scream. The Padres have a Motorola logo on their sleeve. Awesome. Thanks, guys. But, if you need some motorcycle lawyers, apparently there's some in San Diego, and they might be incredibly good or incredibly lucky at advertising. I'm going to say good, though. This is too random.
It has to be where they did that on purpose, because you know what? That video has 700,000 views. 700,000 views. This video of them showing Tatis, and maybe this was last night or yesterday.
Yeah, I think it probably would have been yesterday.
Yeah. But this video is out there, and there's multiple videos out there. The first one I see has 700,000 views.
The one I'm looking at has 600,000. So
yeah.
Add them up.
It's
also,
it's brilliant. If they didn't do it on purpose, hey, you know what? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. If you did it on purpose, brilliant.
Brilliant. If you got lucky, congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and give the shout out to the brand name, because I don't think that, if you're in San Diego right now listening, you can, now you know. The brand naming of Law Tigers Motorcycle Lawyers, incredible. Incredible. You got to have good
around here. I think I see billboards for them around here. Yeah.
Okay, I have not noticed Law Tigers before, because really Mike's got this.
And we got the Jungle Law.
Jungle Law. Mike's got this. That's
prime time.
The branding is important. I was not aware of the work of Law Tigers Motorcycle Lawyers, but now I am. So good work, Tatis and company.
Going back to the,
they should see if they can get him to do ads for them. I'm sure it would be expensive, but.
Bob Nightingale saying that this was back when the Padres announced that he was going to miss up to 3 months. Said, one of the repercussions of the 99-day lockout was the inability for players to speak with team doctors and training staffs. Fernando Tatis had a motorcycle accident in early December that resulted in scrapes and bruises, but he was unable to be examined by Padre officials.
Holy cow.
They say that it was minor scrapes and bruises.
Yeah.
But then it was connected with the wrist fracture.
Wow. Okay.
Sounds like a Bobby Petrino style motorcycle accident.
That's right. You're saying maybe there's a chance he was fleeing from the volleyball player's fiance. / staffer.
I'm saying Tatis showed up for a press conference in a neck brace, right?
The former volleyball player, current Stafford, Arkansas's fiance, who was the strength and conditioning coach.
Oh,
yeah, I'd probably get on my motorcycle and flee then as well.
Series of bad decisions.
Also, she's engaged to the strength and conditioning coach, and she's going behind the back with Bobby Petrino?
I'm going to say again, a series of terrible decisions.
Just showing up in the neck brace to do the press conference with the road rash on the face.
Sexy. Alluring.
Arkansas
Dangerous.
volleyball player engaged to the strength and conditioning coach ruins her future marriage because she was sleeping with Bobby Petrino.
Swept away.
And out gallivanting on his motorcycle. Unbelievable.
Oh, man.
But anyway, yeah, brilliant if they did that on purpose. 913-381-0810, a little sports or leisure. That's next.
Join the program at Hen House off 119th and Row in Leawood on Thursday. Sarim will be broadcasting live from 2 to 6. It's time to get ready for Mother's Day at Hen House. Hen House has it.
right, time little sports or leisure, 913-381-0810.
I was ready to bring us back. 1:45 on the dot, adjusting for when you exited, when you landed on the chair.
I just ran a 200-meter, 1:45. It's a new personal best.
Flight of stairs up, flight of stairs down.
I've been working on that 200-meter. 1:45. Would you believe it if I told you I ran that 200-meter in 1:45? No, you would not believe it because that's a 40-meter for me.
Did that feel to you like a like about a maximum speed?
No.
Or do you feel like
That's
you
probably
could...
as fast as I could have done it.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So you feel like you just hit max speed.
Because I got that. There was no traffic.
No traffic.
No traffic to get to the office downstairs on the other side of the building.
Didn't have to do a swim move over Ben or anything?
Nobody there. Went right in. Email was up. Click open. Click print. And then I was waiting for it to print, right? I feel like I'm like I'm sneaking into somebody's office and I got like a thumb drive. And I'm watching the download bar.
Like every movie where yes, that's exactly right. You've snuck into like the back room to plug in and try to steal a file.
Let's go. I
think that was the main plot point in The Incredibles.
Because Drake said, hey, you got about 90 seconds before the intro plays. I'm like, that's a half hour away. I'll be there in 10. So I grab the papers and sprint back across the building, roughly 3 football fields the length, all in 90 seconds.
105, but I mean, you could
definitely.
definitely.
It was a minute 45.
A minute 45, but when I stopped, like I was using the iPhone like timer app. It's 1:45:00.
Oh, that's great.
Like
yeah.
that is, I mean, on the dot. I feel like if you next time if you have 2 minutes to make that trip, you could get a sandwich on the way back.
That's a great point. I could stop.
You get a quick
I can
trip.
Catch my breath a little bit, but who wants to do that?
Nobody.
913-381-0810. It is sports or leisure. Give us a call. First in, first on. $25 to Johnny's Tavern. We are giving away for winners of sports or leisure. 913-381-0810. Here's how you play. You give us a call. Get a sports question. Get a leisure question. Get them both right. You win. Get either of them wrong. You lose. But that question is out there available for someone to call in and request if they know the answer to it. We give away the answer when somebody answers it correctly, or we have just simply run out of time. You know, last week was all NFL draft. This week, still some NFL draft questions.
Good.
So the categories on the sports side, NFL draft, Chiefs draft, and we threw in some Major League Baseball and some NBA. A couple added categories there. NBA playoffs going on. Major League Baseball season wrapping up for the Royals. So there you go. NBA, Major League Baseball, Chiefs draft, NFL draft. What about leisure?
We got a few Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader questions left. We've got the pun name game, the commonly misspelled word spelling bee, and today's new category in honor of knowing who the Chiefs will kick off their season with this year. We have Stop Lying, which is going to be a bunch of questions.
She says I'm 19. She said, stop lying.
Where the answers will be
I said I am.
lions.
Go ask your mother.
Most likely.
And with the I can't be your lover.
Often fictional, but not always.
To the hot tick-tock, you don't stop.
We've got a lot of lion questions, so start lying, everybody.
Okay. I said I'm 19. And that's it? There you go. That's it?
That's it. Pun name game, fifth grader, spelling bee, lion.
Okay, I didn't hear the other ones after lion because I got into the
That's okay.
The song.
It's the best category, and it allowed you to do a song. It's a win-win.
No music category today either.
I tried to do a music category a long time ago, and people just weren't biting.
That's a good point.
So
That's a great point.
I might revive it.
We had some listener feedback that was like, hey, why don't you guys ever do a music category? Then we did a music category. Nobody asked for it.
Yeah.
Said, hey, when we do a music category, why don't you call in?
I got a lot of untouched video game questions deep down this Google Doc.
Great. All right, I'm ready to go. Josh, you good to go?
I'm so good to go.
All
Drake,
right.
Are you ready to go?
I guess.
Stop lying.
Yeah. Aaron Donald suffered a high ankle sprain last year, but he is now 100%, he proclaims. So there you go. Mahomes not there yet. He's getting there. All right, 913-381-0810. Let's go to Avery leading us off here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Avery, what side would you like to start with, sir? The sports or the leisure?
I'll do pun name game.
All right. This driver of the number 77 Chevrolet was on the show last week, and unlike this Memphis Bear poker, he would be welcomed back under any circumstances.
I like
So like a NASCAR driver mixed with a bear poker?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
That's exactly right.
This question would have been easier last week when it was shortly after this driver had been on, but I didn't get to it last week. Whoa, Avery dips.
I've never heard Avery hit the eject button that quickly.
I don't think so. I don't think I have either.
Wow.
He came in confidently asking for the pun name
He
game.
wasn't even in somebody else's jet wash.
Must have some sort of emotional issue with bear poking. I don't know.
That's right. All right, so one down, and we'll see how many else to go.
And that one's out there if that just jumps to mind.
Absolutely is. Hunter, next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Hunter, what side would you like to start with, the sports side or the leisure side?
Did Avery rage quit? Is that what you're
Yeah,
I guess.
he did.
Avery typically gets one question, answers it within like 10 seconds, another question, answers it within 10 seconds, and then laughs at us for it being so easy.
Yeah, and today he couldn't even face the
I'll
music.
I'll do the Chiefs, or I'll do NFL draft.
NFL draft for you. Okay, so before Trevon Walker last year, who was the last non-quarterback drafted number 1 overall in the NFL draft?
Oh.
Before Trevon Walker. Got the date for whatever reason listed here as 2007, but it ain't 2007.
Definitely
I can promise
not
you
that.
that. No, there's a 7 in it though.
There was definitely one in 2013 that we all.
Yeah, no, that was for
easy.
sure.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's been a lot since then.
Yeah, there's been a few since then, but
Mario Williams.
definitely since then.
There's more.
Definitely since then. Like I said, I accidentally wrote down 2007.
Ignore that. That is a red herring.
Right. But it's also sort of a hint because I got one of the numbers wrong. For
2077.
That's exactly right.
They're taking a taking a running back first overall.
2107.
Full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot. The brain went numb. And Ndamukong Suh, did he go number 1 or is he number 2 behind Sam Bradford?
Either way, he's not the answer, even if it was number 1 or
Too
number
long
2.
ago.
Yeah. I'll punt it, but I won't rage quit like it.
See, at least you're giving us a sign off. I appreciate that. That's a noble way to do it.
Hunter, appreciate it, man. 913-381-1080.
Congrats on all that NIL money, Hunter. Was that not Hunter Dickinson? I just assumed.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what she was talking about there on my phone.
Your watch found something on the web.
By the way,
we got to figure out how to turn that setting on
that
for you.
has never happened outside of 10 to 2. I have never just been talking with somebody and my watch go, I found this on the web.
You
I'm
gesticulate
searching for
so
this.
much. You're
Yeah,
reaching
that's
over
probably
for the
what it is.
phones, and
Yeah.
you're over here.
That's right.
It's getting that auto wake up thing. I think there's a way to turn that setting off, but I don't know that I've figured it out.
But why is it like an auto setting for like it just all of a sudden has me search or is listening to my words to search for something just because my hands are
That
flying
one I
around
don't know.
like I'm a wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
That one is a little bit curious to me.
All right. There are 2 questions out there, one in the sports, one in the leisure. So that could be a layup for somebody. Let's go to Charles next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Charles, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Leisure, let's do smarter than a 5th grader.
Okay. A farmer noticed. Did I read this one? I don't know. I can't remember. A farmer notices that every day for the past 10 days, the number of pigeons in his field has doubled. There are 1,024 pigeons in the field today, and there were 2 pigeons there the first day. How many pigeons were there yesterday?
Oh, my God.
This one's not as hard as the lead-up makes it sound. I promise.
Can you repeat that for me?
I will repeat it. I will repeat it one more time.
I'm a visual person, and so I would almost need this
The second you're
question
gonna
in front of me.
You're gonna get it the second time. It's almost a trick question. A farmer notices that every day for the past 10 days, the number of pigeons in his field has doubled. There are 1,024 pigeons in the field today. There were 2 pigeons there the first day. How many pigeons were there yesterday? See what I mean? Like the second time, you don't even know what you're listening for.
First day.
It would definitely be easier if it was written down, but you know, 5th
Got a
graders.
lot of extraneous numbers in there.
A lot,
of
absolutely.
information you
That's
really
what I said.
don't need.
It's almost but here's the thing, Drake. If I say divide this number by this,
Yeah,
that's a different question.
There's a lot of noise just to get to a simple
That's right.
equation.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay. especially when
100.
It was far enough off. I didn't
Yeah,
feel bad about the
that
buzzer.
is- that
Someone's
is
gonna
true.
get that one, and it's
Charles, thank you, man. I appreciate you playing, buddy.
The degree
9-1.
of difficulty today is apparently ratcheted up. Take that, Mick.
There are 3 questions out there. Watch this be the day that Craig wins.
Come on, Craig.
Let's go to Dino. Dino or Dino, whichever one. Dino, welcome into the show. What side do you want to start with, sports or leisure?
Well, first I'd like to start with the fact that it's Dino, not Dino.
Sorry, man. I did not know that.
Thank you, Dino. I appreciate that. It's spelled Dino, D-I-N-O, so I thought it was Dino, but Dino makes so much more sense than Dino. Let me
Next
just
time,
say
can
that.
you spell it for Drake and just spell it DEAN-O? Because that I feel like could be a fun one.
Okay, all right, I'll do that. The last question was 512, is that right?
That's correct.
Correct. Well done. What about on the
Not
sports
bad
side?
for something 55 million years old.
I know, right? 512 million years ago is when Dino was around. All right, Dino, sports side, what are you thinking?
Draft,
All right, NFL draft, is a question out there, or do you want a fresh one?
fresh one.
All right, so let's go with this one. Who was the last number 1 overall pick that did not play quarterback or edge?
Oh, okay.
That's a tough one.
Don't think too hard about it.
Joe Namath.
No. Nope. It's been since him.
Not a quarterback or a defensive end. Is that what you said?
No QB, no defensive end. But he's connected very closely to a quarterback and defensive end.
Oh, man. Is it Kittle?
He might be first pick in somebody's fantasy draft, but not in the NFL draft. All right, one more guess. You're getting closer, though. Namath to Kittle to this guy.
Final answer.
What do you think?
He was the number 1 pick.
Did not play quarterback or defensive
The
end.
most recent one,
Yeah,
right?
the most recent number 1 pick.
number 1
Yep.
pick who is not a quarterback or defensive
or an edge player.
Gosh, I'm just not good enough at that to give you an answer. I don't know.
Well, that's all right.
Also, hey, that's also
Dino?
a more noble noble exit than Avery had.
Dino, I didn't even know how to pronounce the name, so
and you
clearly I'm lesser
divided
than.
1,024 by 2, which
Yeah.
is not an easy thing to do on the radio.
Well, not
so,
having
you
it right
know.
in front of your face.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
good.
Dino, I appreciate it, and thank you for playing.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Dino, not Dino. That's probably my fault, you know.
I don't know. Sometimes people
I'm gonna
have
take-
like a nom de plume.
I'm
going
to take 99% of the blame there.
That's too high.
1% being circumstances.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm willing to give 20% to Drake.
Oh, wow.
20% to you. 60% to whoever named Dino.
Well, he's probably Dean. It's nicknamed Dino.
Well, then you got to enunciate that for Drake. 40% Drake.
Let's go to Even. Oh, sorry, Evan. Evan, sorry, I thought that we were going with long E's here. Evan next up on Sports Radio 810
Yvonne.
WHB.
What category, Yvonne?
Yes, Yvonne. Evan, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. Hope you're doing well. What side?
Let's go sports. I wish I could do both for the draft, because I think I know both the answers. I'll answer the first one.
That would be the last non-quarterback.
Yeah, that was Myles Garrett.
That's correct. In 2017, before Patrick Mahomes went number 10, or really before Trubisky went number 2. But on to the leisure, because you can't get both the sports questions to be right. But on to leisure with Josh.
You got to stay Evan keeled here. What category do you like?
Do you guys got any more? Are you smarter than a fifth grader?
I got a couple here.
Pronounce Dino.
This one's this was on a fifth grader question list. I wouldn't get it. Budapest is the capital of what European country?
Oh, Hungary.
There.
Yeah.
Like that. He's
unbelievably con. Oh, I knew that.
I know a DJ from there.
Okay, well, good work.
You know a DJ from Hungary?
Yeah.
Nice.
He went to college here.
What college?
UMKC.
This is a real moment. Oh, you were ready for Myles Garrett and
Is he,
Hungary.
DJ Starving?
You're not going to be hungry for much longer.
I beat
You're
you
going
to
to Johnny's Tavern.
I beat you to it with the DJ Starving.
We went 2 different directions with it.
We did. You're right.
I'm going to count that as 2 points.
That's right. What was the DJ name? What was his name?
Shout out to DJ.
Rawson.
DJ Raw.
DJ Rawson.
No. Oh, so like his first name was DJ, but he wasn't like a DJ at like
No,
weddings.
That was his first name was like Rawson. Rawson, like.
Oh, so it was just DJ
Still
Rawson.
I love it.
Okay, very good. I like the DJ Starving though. That would that's just me. Evan, as Josh said, starving no more. $25 to Johnny's Tavern, or thirsty no more. However you want to spend it, doesn't matter. $25 to Johnny's Tavern. Evan, thank you, sir. Appreciate it, man. We'll put you on hold and get your information. Thank you, sir. How about that? That was easy for him. Budapest, hungry.
Hungry.
It's lunch.
It's like he wrote that question and mailed. Yeah, here's just a
That's right.
suggestion, which I should start doing. I should start letting people submit their own questions, and then I have to just make sure that they don't ask for their own.
That's. I know
The program can outsource the feud. I got to be able to.
I went to school with a guy from Hungary, so you know that.
That's amazing.
So there you go. You know, you don't have to know everything. You just have to know what's asked.
That's right.
To you.
That's right.
It's Slumdog Millionaire. He didn't know everything in the world, but he had a specific life event memory with every single question. Just happened to be that way. It's a great movie. Really enjoyed it.
Tavern Johnny Dog Tavernaire.
Hans next. Hans is next up on
man,
Sports Radio
this is a
810 WHB. Hans, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
I want to do the musical category, but I think I'm going to go sports first.
All right. What question category would you?
Are you guys done with the draft? If you are, I'll do NBA.
No, we've got NFL draft. We've got Chiefs draft. We've got NBA. We got Major League Baseball. We got lots of questions still.
Let's go NFL draft.
NFL draft for you. Okay, we have one out there about the last non-quarterback or edge player to go number 1, or we have a number of fresh ones.
Well, since we're in KC, I'm going to go Eric Fisher.
All right, well done. Eric Fisher in 2013, the last non-quarterback or edge rusher. And you know what the Chiefs did with that draft pick? Won a Super Bowl. Super Bowl. The hint was very close to the edge / quarterback because he blocks the edge for the quarterback. Anyway, leisure with Josh.
Do you want me to drum up a music question? Or you want to go Lions? Okay, let's go Lions.
No, let's do a diehard question for Hans.
Let's go.
Yeah. Shoot the glass.
I bet you've never heard that one before. Let's go Lions, and let's do this one here. Alex the Lion, voiced by Ben Stiller, starts in the Central Park Zoo and ends up traveling abroad with his co-stars David Schwimmer and Chris Rock and Jada Pinkett Smith. Huh. Anyway, what movie does this lion star in?
G.I. Jane 3.
Oh my! The museum.
The name of the animated film
that this lion is in.
Lion King.
No, it is not.
Lion King.
It is not.
I'm sorry.
Hans, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it.
I was getting the details.
Absolutely, you too.
I was getting the details for this movie for the question today, and because I have seen this movie and a little extra hint and its sequels, probably many times. My little sister was a big fan. And spinoffs, all of that.
I've never seen it.
I remember it fondly, but I did not remember Chris Rock and Jada Pinkett Smith being a couple of the main characters. I knew Chris Rock was.
I'm going to look it up. What's it called?
I can't tell you that.
I was hoping you would slip up since I slipped up last week.
No, absolutely
or the
not.
Week before, I can't remember what
I
it was.
had to defend my questions.
All right.
It's not Lion King.
Well, yes, I know that. Let's go to Chuck next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Chuck, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Diabolical.
I'll take my question from leisure.
The lion question?
Yeah, so it's not Little Mermaid for the record, but it is Madagascar.
It's Madagascar. Yeah,
so
got a little Sacha Baron Cohen, King Julian. That I just forgot Jada Pinkett Smith was in it. I did not. I don't know how that affected their relationship. But Chris Rock is the zebra, whose name currently escapes me. David Schwimmer is the constantly health conscious, clumsy giraffe.
I've never seen this.
Really?
Chris Rock was Marty the zebra.
Marty the zebra.
Marty Moose. Yeah. David Schwimmer was Melman the giraffe.
Melman. There we go. Yeah, he's always worried about getting sick and dying.
Jada Pinkett was Gloria the hippo.
Yeah. And this
Sacha Baron
Moto
Cohen
was
King
Julian.
Yeah. And Cedric the Entertainer was Maurice.
So you know I like to move it
Yeah.
song. That's a Madagascar.
How about that?
I think is Will.i.am on there? Is he the other? Is he Moto the thick hippo?
No idea.
All right, I'll look into it.
It's not on this particular page, so I don't know. I'm looking up thick hippo.
I just googled
not
Moto.
Not googling on Twitter thick hippo. Not happening. Chuck, onto the sports side. We've got NFL draft. We got Chiefs draft. We got Major League Baseball and NBA.
Let's go Chiefs draft.
Chiefs draft for you. Okay. Last year was just the third time in Chiefs history that they traded up in the first round to take a defensive player. Can you tell me who? Oh, let's just go either. Either of the other two defensive players the Chiefs traded up in the first round to get.
Oh, geez.
McDuffie was the third time. Either of these two players that they traded up. One, definitely worth it. The other one, oh my God. That was so bad.
Oh, jeez. Remember them going up to Tony Gonzalez back then, but he played offense, obviously.
One did win a Super Bowl in his career, and the other one got supersized at McDonald's. So tells you how those worked out for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think it was early 2000s, along with we had like Dorsey and Sims and all those horrible picks back to back to back. Okay. Let's go with Ryan Sims.
Yeah.
There you go.
They traded up. You know why they traded up for Ryan Sims? Because the only reason Julius Peppers was so good is because Ryan Sims was double teamed all the time and still was able to produce. That's why Julius Peppers was awesome, because of Ryan Sims, who may have showed up out of shape and just wasn't any good. The last part is true. Definitely was.
Better than Glenn Seavey.
The other player they traded up one spot for Neil Smith. Neil Smith Neil Smith had a Super Bowl, not with the Chiefs, but got a couple of rings. That's a winner.
That's a winner,
right? Correct. Oh,
yes.
Chuck, well done. We'll put you on hold. Get your information. Congratulations, sir. Nice job. Okay. There you go. So Ryan Sims, Neil Smith, and Madagascar.
Yeah, well I didn't even actually hear the question. I was getting context clues of bad defensive linemen from you in the as you guys were talking about it, because I was reading about the adaptation of the I Like to Move It original song from the early 90s finding its second life in Madagascar. A truly bizarre series of circumstances.
And a tie-in here, the original music score was from a guy named Hans Diener.
Oh, I thought for sure it'd be Hans Zimmer.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and...
913-381-0810, playing some sports or leisure. $25 at Johnny's Tavern on the line. Johnny's Tavern. 10 locations. Kansas City, Lawrence, and Topeka. $25 we give away when you get a sports and a leisure question correct. Franmil Reyes, this is a surprise. He has cleared waivers. He was mashing the baseball, but nobody wanted to sign him. It's weird. I don't know. He has cleared waivers, which then gives him the choice of accepting a minor league assignment for the Royals to Omaha or being a free agent. He has elected to be a free agent. Wow.
Shocking.
I just did not see that one coming at all.
Omaha's so nice this time of year.
It really is, isn't it? It's beautiful. Lovely. So Franmil Reyes is no longer on the Royals. So that lasted a month.
There was like 3 or 4 games there where it was like, hey, here it comes.
He had at one point he had 2 hits for the Royals and 2 home runs and 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored. Weird. At one point he had that. And I think that might be the last point that he had. All right, 913-381-0810, 913-381-0810. Avery next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Avery, are you back to reclaim something? Are you no longer afraid to answer questions? Did you go through an, I'm using air quotes, tunnel?
Is this a new Avery?
Is there an Austin Dillon Brooks question?
You mother bleeper. No, there's not. No, there's not. No,
isn't.
buzzing. No, there's not.
Yeah,
no, there's not.
they're right,
Hang
there's
up
not.
on Avery. Hang up on Avery.
No,
Get
there's
out of
not.
here. Out. God. Out.
Avery, thank you for playing, Avery. He's gone.
That is not the answer to that
Did
question.
Avery's phone drop again?
Oh, that's so funny.
Did Avery's phone drop again? Oh, my goodness. He did get it wrong, though, so even
He
if
did.
There is not an Austin Dillon Brooks question.
There is not. I'll tell you what, I'll reread the question so that everyone else on the board knows it's out there.
913-381-0810. Avery twice.
This driver of the number 77 Chevrolet was on the show last week, and unlike this Memphis Bear poker, he would be welcome back under any circumstances.
The question this time would be, so he said his phone dropped the last time. Did his phone drop this time, or was this one just the eject button? Like, oh, dang it. It's not Austin Dillon Brooks. All right, let's go to, Ben next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Ben, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's go sports and let's try NBA.
All right, NBA for you. All right. Let's see. What do we have here that's most relevant? All right. This question was out there a lot this week. So Lonnie Walker scored 15 points in the fourth quarter on Monday. Can you tell me who the last Lakers bench player was to score 15 or more points in the fourth quarter of a playoff game?
Oh, man.
Not some random dude. Famous player.
Is it recent or is it...
It's not this century, but recent enough, with the name. I mean, this guy was a rookie when he did it.
I'm going to try Lamar Odom.
Damn it, Ben. It was not Lamar Odom.
Don't get mad at Ben for that. It's
No,
a
I
hard
was
question.
I was upset with him.
Jason.
No, I was upset with Ben.
Ben, listen.
Ben and I,
you did your best, and that's all that you can do.
You know what,
Giannis
that's right.
says failure doesn't exist.
Ben, did you try hard and did you have fun?
This was just a step towards your
I had
goal.
a great time.
See?
I appreciate you guys doing this every week.
Ben, thank you for playing. I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Ben.
How about that? See? More appreciative than my son when we go to baseball practice. Did you work hard and did you have fun? Yes and yes? Good. Well, I don't appreciate you doing this every week, Dad. Okay?
Dad, I got hit in the neck by a fastball. I'm not having a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Proud of you, son.
That's good. But did you work hard while getting hit in the neck?
Yeah,
Also-
I did. I guess I did.
Also, it's machine pitch. Don't stand on the plate.
That's such a good point. Not even in practice. They never gotten
Stand
beamed.
on the plate, man. Okay?
What's worse, getting beamed in machine pitch or getting beamed in coach pitch? Because I tell you what, if some little kid does the bat flip and shows you up around the base paths, coach got to dust him next time.
So, the first time I ever coached as an assistant coach back in the day to help out with one of my nephew's friends, it was kid pitch, but I was throwing batting practice, and one got away, and it hit one of the kids in the leg, and the mom actually told me his son or her son stopped playing baseball because I hit him in the leg. Now, he wasn't exactly the kid that wasn't afraid of the baseball. It was something we did have to work on him not being afraid of the baseball. So that one going a little bit too inside, and I was like, get off my plate! Back up, punk! Yeah, you're going to show up there wearing all that gear. You want to wear all those pads. You ain't Mo Vaughn. You don't have anything on your knee. Pop! No, it actually hit him in the ankle.
Oh, that's even worse.
And he was a soccer player, so baseball was just part-time for fun. It's like, nope, can't
You did
hurt
a
the
soccer
money.
career too.
Can't hurt the moneymaker.
Well,
Yeah.
look, I am glad
even
that
know
you
what
were
he's
out there
doing.
trying to hit 80.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is. No, it's probably because I was aiming at trying not to hit him. Okay, this kid doesn't. He's afraid of the ball. Make sure I don't hit him. Son of a gun!
One
I hit him!
away is so funny.
Ugh. All right, 913-381-1010. Let's go to Ryan next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Ryan, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
I'll do sports.
All right, we got that NBA question out there, and we have Chiefs draft, NFL draft, Major League Baseball, also other NBA questions.
Is that NASCAR question there or no?
Oh, that's on leisure. The NASCAR. You want to start
The
with
NASCAR pun name game?
Yeah, let's start with that one. Go ahead.
You got to get both sides of it here, but I think you got it.
What was it again?
So it's this driver of the number 77 Chevrolet was on the show last week, and unlike this Memphis Bear poker, he would be welcomed back under any circumstances.
Yeah. And Austin Dillon Brooks was guessed earlier. That
And
is
incorrect.
Okay, Austin Dillon Brooks.
Yep, this is the driver of the number 77 car in Nashville. Or excuse me, in NASCAR.
I was going to let you have it. I was like, Memphis,
Why did I say
Nashville, I don't know.
What did I say in Nashville? He's also returning to RCR this weekend for the first time in like 5 years.
On the show last week.
And he was on the show last week.
Good chat.
And he's returning to RCR Racing for the first time in like 5 years. Family business.
Ty Dillon, I have no idea.
Don't give up! Don't give up now!
Austin?
It's NASCAR driver, Memphis basketball player, who was already named. So you've got this.
Yeah, Austin Dillon Brooks was incorrect.
That's right.
So you would want to go with...
Ty Dillon Brooks.
Yeah,
Yes!
nice. Nailed it. No help either. Ryan just shows up, starts hitting home runs.
Look, you came in and cleaned up Avery's mess, and
That's
that
right.
I hope gets you to Johnny. But you got to get the sports side first.
That's exactly right. And you hit it right out of the park, even if it was one that was going to be off your foot. So I appreciate that. On to the sports side, we've got NFL draft. We've got Chiefs draft. We've got Major League Baseball. We got NBA.
Let's go Chiefs draft.
Chiefs draft for you. That one's already been answered, so let me go ahead and mark that off. The Chiefs have drafted 4 Hall of Famers in the first round in their draft history. Name 3 of the 4. One of them didn't actually. One of them didn't end up playing for the Chiefs. Interesting. But the other 3 did.
Derek Thomas.
There's one. Traded up for one of these guys.
Will Shields.
Oh, he was in the third round.
Yeah, third round pick. Wow.
Third round from Nebraska.
That's what that makes it tricky. There aren't that many Chiefs Hall of
Ryan, thank
Famers
you,
or
man. I
that many
appreciate it, brother.
memorable
Yeah.
first round picks.
When I first wrote this thing down, the question says who are they, as in all 4.
Yeah.
But I decided to switch it up there and just say
I think 3's a good
3
number.
of the 4.
We're not counting future Hall of Famers, so Patrick Mahomes and Dwayne Bowe would not count.
Edwards-Helaire also eliminated because it's current Hall of Famers. Shane, next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Shane, sports or leisure?
Hi, guys. Can you give me I want to go leisure first, but I need the categories, please.
Yes. The categories are Stop Lion, which is categories about lions, the commonly misspelled word spelling bee, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, and one more pun name game.
Let's do, I like the spelling bee. Let's try it.
You're going to have to spell a word that I haven't been able to spell for about a week or 2. I need you to do your best to spell boutonniere.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. I'm out.
Boutonniere.
I pride myself on spelling, but I'm... Oh,
He says
wow,
he's got it.
Go ahead, Shane. School us.
Hold on. I don't know if your phone cut out for a second or if I just skipped a letter. Can you give that to us one more time?
There's
here?
a letter missing or a number. I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give any hints.
There was like the way I heard it, there was an obvious part of it that was missing, but it may have legitimately been like a phone thing. So one more pass at it?
Okay. I think it's BOUTINEER.
Oh, no. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
this is a bad word. There's
are
probably
there
multiple spellings? This is a great question.
Are there multiple spellings?
I went with the one that if you spell buttonhole, I'll count it. No, I've got like the dictionary listing. I've got the Wikipedia page. I'm not even getting the super French spelling. I mean, it's pretty French, but I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a legit buzzer. It's maybe the hardest spelling bee question that I have given.
It is absolutely the hardest one.
But it's one that's really been on my heart. Literally.
Shane, thank you for
put a pin in that one.
Yeah, Shane, thank you for playing. We'll give him his flowers when he gets one right the next time. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and continue playing a little sports or leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. It is The Zone presented by Google Fiber. More right after this.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
As the weather turns towards spring, now is the time to get your backyard set up for grilling season. Whether it's giving your current setup some new accessories or it's just time to upgrade your grill. Come see the guys I see, the Kansas City Barbecue Store in Olathe. They're stocked with all the top brands, and they have the area's biggest selection of accessories. The Kansas City Barbecue Store is your one-stop shop for fuel, sauces, rubs, and even competition quality meats. Find them online right now at theKansasCityBBQStore.com. See them in person at the corner of 119th and Strangline in Olathe.
Kansas City, spring is here. Don't waste your valuable time working outside on your lawn and landscape this year. Hire the professionals at Summit Lawn and Landscape. From mowing and fertilization programs, mulching and shrub trimming, to complete landscaping and sprinkler system design, install, and service, Summit Lawn and Landscape can do it all. Spring is here, so don't delay. Use who Sports Radio 810 uses for all of our outdoor needs. Call Summit Lawn and Landscape at 816-966-9434 or submit a bid request online at summitlawn.com.
This is Stephen St. John. QC Kinetics is in the business of giving people back their quality of life and providing much needed relief for chronic joint pain. And not just providing that relief, but doing it in the most non-invasive way possible, using regenerative treatments from your body's own natural biologics. Where is your joint pain? In your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Well, QC Kinetics concentrates these impactful treatments right at the source of your pain. And best of all,
Tyson Jackson eliminated since he's still eligible for the Hall of Fame?
Yeah,
it's
I guess.
It's current Hall of Famers, though.
Yeah.
It's current, though, already in. Not someone who's going to get a gold jacket in a couple of years.
That's right. It's
not
kind of a
someone
numbers
who's
game.
an obvious snub so far. Like,
Exactly.
what's taken them so long for Tyson
I hope
Jackson?
I hope they don't have to wait for the Veterans Committee to get Tyson Jackson into the Hall.
I agree. Let's go to Matt next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. A little sports or leisure. $25 to Johnny's Tavern. You get a sports question and a leisure question right. All right, Matt, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Oh, I'll take leisure.
All right, you've got the commonly misspelled word spelling bee. Are you smarter than a fifth grader? The pun name game and the stop lion category. It's sort of lion-based trivia.
Try Lions.
All right, I love it. This live-action lion isn't in movies as much as he precedes them as the roaring introduction for films made by which massive production company?
Oh, MGM.
Boom!
Nice job.
No hesitation.
I thought we were having to name the lion.
I don't know the name
thought
of
his
the
name
lion.
was like
I'll look
Ronnie
into
or
it.
something.
I don't know the name of the lion.
Yeah, I know.
either.
I'm glad. I thought he was actually going to say, what's the name of this lion? Like John.
I mean, I'm on it. I'm going to look into it.
Maybe it's
Drake says he
Bobby.
thinks it's Leo. That would make sense.
Leo the lion. Yeah, absolutely.
MGM's, of course, Metro Golden Mayer.
Maybe like Samba or something.
I would have accepted Metro Golden Mayer. I had it written down in my notes just in case anyone wanted to go full name and not just MGM.
I would have accepted runs batted in, but RBI works too.
Leo the Lion.
All right, on to the sports
What does
side.
Drake not know?
Nothing. He does not know nothing.
I already know I want Chiefs draft.
All right, Chiefs draft. We've got one out there about the Hall of Famers that they have drafted, or we've got a few fresh ones.
I didn't know that one. I'll take a fresh one.
All right, fresh one for you. Then we will go with Chiefs have drafted 4 running backs in the first round since 1990. Name 3.
Oh. In the first round?
In the first round, they have drafted 4 running backs in the first round. There's one. I said name 3 because I figured 2 were kind of easier, right, Josh? Am I correct on the 2?
I was doing some schedule math.
First round?
Who's that?
Was Harvey Williams?
Yes, Harvey was a first. I didn't even think of that as the easier one. Edwards-Helaire was the layup. This other one was more of a short jumper. And then the other 2, I thought, maybe elbow, free throw line extended, maybe top of the key. But you need one more, one of the other 2.
Yeah, I'm not catching the third one.
First round running backs. You got 2 that were actually between Harvey Williams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Actually, how about Larry Johnson?
Larry Johnson. See, those were the ones I thought Edwards-Helaire and LJ would be the easier ones. And so you got that one right. The fourth one being the Texas A&M running back, Greg Hill, in '94 in the first round. Yeah, that would have been it. That's why I didn't say name all 4. On to leisure with Josh.
Yeah, what's the name of the lion that roars before MGM
Oh my goodness,
movies?
it's MGM. Sorry, Metro Goldman. No, now I want you to get the actual name right. What's the name of the lion? It's Leo.
Apparently it's Leo.
Matt will put you on hold. Congratulations, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. 913-381-0810. Let's bring Matt back on. We go to sports side with Matt.
Metro Goldwyn Mayer does what? Name anything.
What is the sign for MGM?
What kind of animal is the mascot?
Is it a Leo? Yeah, you're right. Let's go to Andrew next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Andrew, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's try that lion category.
I love it. Name not 1, not 2, but 3 lions, only lions from The Lion King. You have the whole series if you'd like.
Oh my goodness. Well, you got Mufasa.
Yeah.
Scar, Simba, Nala.
That's right. Yeah.
Keep going. Sarabi.
Don't need it.
You're good,
Whoa,
man.
Sarabi,
Nice
that's
job.
5.
Well done. Well done. That was a layup. I appreciate that.
I think that was a slam dunk on a 8-foot rim.
Yeah,
I could have
right,
asked for
Andrew.
4, but I thought Simba, Scar, Mufasa, Nala was a good group to pick from. But
well done. That's a Lion King fan right there.
That is.
You know what, Andrew?
That is.
We'll see if you're going to be a Mighty King if you can get the sports question right.
All the Johnnies, the light touches, will belong
That's
to
right.
you if you can get this question right.
Enemies beware. All right.
What about that dark shadowy place?
Oh, yes.
Even that.
It's an elephant graveyard.
Oh.
Watering hole. We've been there. Shh, it's an elephant graveyard. All right, Andrew, the Chiefs draft, NFL draft, Major League Baseball, and NBA.
Let's go Chiefs draft.
Chiefs draft for you. Okay, we've got one out there about the Hall of Famers that the Chiefs have drafted in the first round.
I couldn't. Derek Thomas was the only thing I could think of off the top of my head, so I was gonna do a new one.
Okay, new one for you. Let's see. The Chiefs have drafted in the top 10 11 different times. Only 3 of those top 10 picks were offensive players.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the 3 offensive players the Chiefs drafted in the top 10?
Pat Mahomes, Eric Fisher.
Yep.
Those are the 2 layups.
Yeah. What is the
one
third?
more?
Oh, man.
It's a very famous miss.
Very famous miss?
Not MS
Miss.
or MISS.
Miss.
Or, yeah, an MISS.
Very famous miss.
Very famous miss by the Chiefs. Not necessarily because he didn't work out. It's because of who they didn't draft for this person that other guys ended up being Hall of Famers at that same position.
Might have been a documentary about it, and the guy might have been from Penn State.
I think you are right.
I think let's go Todd Blackledge.
Yeah, Todd Blackledge at number 10. They finally drafted a good quarterback at number 10. They figured it out. They got it.
Thank goodness.
That's a winner.
Name 3 lions from Lion King. That's a winner.
Name where Todd Blackledge went to high school.
The Nittany Lions.
Wait, the Nittany Lions. I thought about putting one of those in there.
Name any of the 3 players where they went to high school. All right, we'll put you on hold there.
Name one type of lion
Andrew.
that Penn State is mascotted by.
See, the joke would have been White House High School. That's right,
makes
Patrick
sense.
Mahomes went to White House.
Sorry,
Well done. Yes, I have no idea where Eric Fisher or Todd Blackledge from. Let's go to Chris next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Chris, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Can I get the Lakers question that came up earlier?
Yes, you can. It is.
NBA.
Lonnie Walker scored 15 points in the fourth quarter on Monday. Who was the last Lakers bench player to score 15 or more points in the fourth quarter of a playoff game? He was a rookie, very famous guy. What's his name?
Kobe Bryant.
That's correct. Kobe in '97.
Really?
And Lonnie Walker. Most people put them in the same category.
Yeah, no
Kobe
kidding.
and Lonnie Walker. On to the Leisure with Josh.
Do you know what category you'd like?
Hey, Josh, can I spell boutonniere?
Oh, I'd love it if you,
I don't know,
if you
can you?
would. Yeah, I need somebody to.
All right. BOUTONNIERE. Boom!
That's correct.
Right in the buttonhole.
Wait, there is an E at the end?
There is an E at the end.
Yeah,
Unlike my
there's
name.
it's good if there's an E at the end.
No, not in this case.
Chris, we'll put you on hold. Get your information. Congratulations. Boom.
All right, thanks, guys.
Out, $25 to you. Let's see if we can sneak in at least one more. Simon, next up on Sports Radio 810. Simon, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's start with the Chiefs draft question.
Chiefs draft question, the one about the Hall of Famers?
Yeah.
All right, Chiefs have drafted 4 Hall of Famers in the first round in their draft history. Name 3. Derek Thomas has already been named, so name 2 of the other 3.
Tony Gonzalez
Yes, sir.
and Marcus Allen.
Ooh, dude. Ooh,
No.
No, not Marcus Allen.
Ooh.
No, not Marcus Allen.
I thought
Simon.
you said
No, Simon. That would be the Raiders. All right, wrapping us up. Matt, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with? Quick.
The Lions.
Sorry, I was clicking over to Google Marcus Allen. Now I'm wasting our
No reason to Google
time.
him. He was drafted by the Raiders.
I was
Go.
going to see the where he was picked.
Doesn't matter.
This one sucks.
All right.
This Argentinian superstar is one of the greatest of all time, playing most of his career with Barcelona and punctuating his legacy with the World Cup win and a second Golden Boot in 2022. Golden Ball, not boot.
Messi.
Yeah.
Lionel
Messi.
All right, on to the sports side. You want that Chiefs draft question? Cool. Name the last name of a first round draft pick that ended up in the Hall of Fame. His first name is Buck. Name the last name.
Buchanan.
Very well done. That is a winner.
I was so afraid you were going to say O'Neal, man.
The 4th first-round draft pick that made the Hall of Fame. Put you on hold, Matt, and get your information. Congratulations. That would be Gale Sayers, who didn't actually sign with the Chiefs.
Wow.
So that's why I said
some
name
good
3, because
trivia.
that's a tough one there. Any questions we did not get answers to?
I think all mine that were out there eventually got answered.
And mine as well. Okay. There
Shout
we
out
go.
to Ty Dillon Brooks.
Very good. Awesome. Congratulations, everybody. I think we did a swell job today.
I think we did. The show was fun.
1% less bad tomorrow. We'll see.
Thursday night, it's all all Chiefs on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The Chiefs have won Super Bowl 57.
Get ready for next season with our NFL schedule release special. Who will the Chiefs play on opening night? Which games will be in prime time? Get all the info first and plan your Chiefs getaways with a schedule release special.